That's right. We're starting off December on the right foot here, guys. Welcome back, everybody. I got to be honest with you. Welcome to this post-Thanksgiving show. We are entering the holidays, and I just want to take a second here to let everybody know in the chat. So your boy Mooch here, just coming over, just getting past a cold here. So if my voice sounds a little different, I apologize. Been doing the herbal medicine, getting that voice back. I got hot water, lemon, whatever, honey, who knows? But it's working. The voice is back. It feels good. I've got an amazing panel here for you guys. I've got amazing topics for us to talk about. There's new games out as we speak today. I just want to say thanks to everybody for all the Thanksgiving wishes. You guys are all fantastic. The community's amazing. 2 weeks ago, show did great. Thanks for all checking that out. Please take a second, guys. Hit the like button. Go ahead and that subscribe button if you don't mind, too, please. So they're going to be moderate yelling tonight. Moderate yelling as I keep my voice intact. But believe me, what I did for you guys in the meantime was, maybe you're not going to get that much Mooch yelling tonight, but I've got a panel here that's going to excite you, and they're going to take over the show. I'll tell you that much right now. Before we get into that, if you'll take a look at that phenomenal description down there, right above that is the join button. If you don't mind, guys, consider becoming a Mooch Maniac family member. It really means the world to me, helps the channel immensely. And it gets you to get your name read out loud, just like I'm about to do for these phenomenal individuals. Some of them are here in the chat. I've already seen them and been talking to them earlier. The great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Frostbite Slash, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Big Chuck 777, Alphonso Carter, BRAP, Jamie, Damion, the great Jimmy Harrison, Andy Hart, DadOfWar, Isaac Gentry, Arch War Angel, Red Hood 420, Hustle and Motivate, Ham Solo 05 Gaming, our newest Mooch Maniac, Rob Jones, shout out to Rob, our major Mooch Maniacs, Julian Johnson, a.k.a. Juju, shout out to Juju, he's here, he's going to be showing up momentarily, DC Gaming, Miko, Slayin Chilean, Gaming with Persona, and Jay Bari, who were out having drinks in New York City last night, and they'll be doing What's Up PlayStation tomorrow, Saturdays, 11 a.m., Eastern Time. Go and check those guys out. Domino Zero, Supreme Samurai, Who Are You 5, your boy Roy, Tactical Gamer, Danelle Brown, That Guy Smitty, 4-Star General, Brian B., a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, Fork Boy Gaming, Shadow Assassin, Strictly! Strictly's here, by the way, folks. Strictly's here. He's not here for me. He's here for you. Shout out to Strictly Gaming and the Wise Old Gamer and our honorable mentions, Percolator 9000, Marty Bison, Fake Man Bear Pig, Ashish Rana, Smokes 901, and our forever Mooch Maniac. Shout out to Longshot 316 and the great Optimus Code. Guys, it's been probably since 2014 since I started podcasting with you guys, and it's probably been 2 or 3 times in that stretch that I think my voice has gone to this level of low. So I will just say this much. Let me, without any further hesitation, start to introduce this phenomenal panel who's going to be the star of the show tonight. Well, you guys know him as, I don't even know if he's Fimble BRAP, as he likes to go as tonight, but you guys know him as Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. BRAP, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing well, Mooch. It's Friday, man. Happy to be back, and man, I'm tired, man. Long work week, man.
Long work week. Yes, week, dude.
I tell you, man, like I took I was off most last week for the holiday, man.
That's good.
Came back, and this week just kicked my ass.
Well, that's the thing, I'm glad you said that, BRAP. That's the one thing all the time. The family always says, you know what you got to do is you got to take some time off. And don't get me wrong. By the way, I encourage that. What BRAP just said, I encourage it. Please, guys, if you're working, especially at the holidays, take time off to spend time with your loved ones, your family. But you know what sucks, BRAP? You take a week off, all you do is double your work when you come back. Is it really a break?
No, it's like I shouldn't even taken the time off because like now I basically doubled the amount of work.
Yeah.
Because I have to catch up on work for the previous week and then also have to do what I need to do for that week, for the week of. So it's like, yeah.
Well, listen, buddy,
it's overrated.
I'm glad you're here. I know you had a rough week, but I appreciate you being here tonight with us. Speaking of appreciating to be with us, he's back. And as he said, maybe he's back at the right time when Twitter just gives the freedom to speak as you will, right? The great J-Dub City is back. And believe me, he has been exercising his freedom of speech on Twitter recently, and I've loved every minute of it. Shout out to you, J-Dub. Welcome back to the show, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Boy, doing good, man. Doing good. I am back on the scene. Missed you guys, man. but I'm back, and so I'm kicking up dust on Twitter as I normally do. Been enjoying that greatness. I beat beat God of War, best game ever made. Nothing comes close. And I'm going to tackle Need for Speed, Unbound, as well as Callisto Protocol. Shout out to Sony for sending their devs out there to make sure that we had the best running version with ray tracing and haptic feedback and 3D audio and you know what I'm saying? It's actually stumping out 4090s, right now. So we got BRAP. BRAP need to explain that today. You know what I'm saying?
Well, not just BRAP, but you've also probably just lit a fire under our next guest, Jay. Thanks for that.
Sorry,
I'll go right to him.
What I missed?
There was some 490 slander.
Yeah. J Dub knows better. It's like comparing a Volkswagen Jetta to a Porsche 911. But I guess
Man, oh man. But listen, BRAP, you're not alone tonight. I had to bring him in. Not only does he play all the new games, he plays them on any console that he wants. Plus, he's got a super rig, a 4090 that he actually tweaked out and figured out how to make it less stuttery. That's the Callisto Protocol I'm talking about.
Yeah, because J-Dub and all these other motherfuckers know not to play with me. That's why. You know what I'm saying? They better start blaming these developers, blaming these publishers, blaming everything they need to blame, but they know the vibes. These motherfuckers wanted to know. We gonna come out with some heat.
Strictly.
Hold up, P-Rock. I'm gonna come out with some heat.
Listen.
Let them talk. We can ignore it.
But man, you pay $5,000 and you have to figure shit out.
If I'm not mistaken, developers are putting out a piece today. Hey, don't blame me. Hold on. See, now y'all trying to stop. Y'all trying to stop. It ain't gonna stop. It's inedible. Y'all gonna catch this fade today. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Because they want to sit here and cry about Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. What's more powerful than what the whole year up until its launch, but they can't understand why people playing third-party games on PC. Y'all better recognize who to play with and who not to. Y'all know the vibes. The patch came out today, and when I boot that shit up tonight, it's gonna destroy all y'all motherfucking shit.
But it's like
my brother Strictly said he couldn't even play with DX12. He had downgrades to DX11.
And even on the downgrade, y'all still not fucking with it. So with that being said, let's get to the next guest, man. Y'all know the vibe. Let's go. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, Stu Strick. That's how you get that. That's how he brought the energy. Listen, I told you Strictly's bringing the energy tonight.
I just woke up, Mooch.
I know you did. Let's just go right to it. How about Porter Rock 77 back? P-Rock, listen, I couldn't have been a better week to get you back here post-Thanksgiving, man. Great to have you back. I know you said you spent a little time in the city. We got you sick. I apologize. I'm sick too. This is what we do. And then we sent you back to
the
Cali.
hometown, man. I don't know. I guess I don't have. I'm gonna spread the love out here in the West Coast. Give everybody some of that New York viruses. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I was spent the whole week for Thanksgiving in New York. Man, it was really cold. I'm not gonna lie. California got me spoiled. I'm used to just consistent 70-degree weather at the coldest, whatever. But I mean, it was a good time for family. But by the time I came back, me and my wife were like, "Man, something's wrong." And it just dropped us, so kind of like you, my voice is a bit raspy, but yeah, man, glad to be here, man. Great crew today. We out here with Strictly's $10,000 PC running 30 frames. It's all that shit, bro. We good.
It was actually running 89. It's actually running 89. Hey, shout out to my PlayStation 5. Shout out to my PlayStation 5 Collector's Edition that nobody else has on.
Shit.
Yeah, shout out to that too.
I did see that too. You know what's funny, Strictly? I did not see a lot of people tweeting that out. You're one of the only ones.
Yeah, but they was quick to tweet out that PC one day because they know better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, listen, man, Strick, you never come on this show without some sort of controversy. There's always something, Strick. So I love it. I love it, Strick. Strick belongs on CrossFire, by the way. I just want to say this much too. Shout out to great Merc305. Merc, listen, I know it's football season and all, but it's hard to get you on the show. I'm not going to lie. It's hard to get you on the show.
Hey, we're back.
But boy,
we're back.
Let me tell you something, Merc. You couldn't have picked a better week with this panel and these topics. So, Merc, welcome back to the show, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Hey, man. Yeah, I know what you brought me in. There will be no PCMR slander today. There will be no PCMR slander.
I hope not.
All right, there will be none of that.
I hope not.
Hey, man, much appreciated for the invite. It's been a while. man, let's get on with these topics, man. I appreciate it.
All right, Mark. And then last but certainly not least, speaking of Mr. PC himself, he's even got like a holster on his side where he holds his Steam Deck. The glorious Kev is back. Glorious. What is up with you, buddy? It's been a long time since you've been on the show, and I know you're not going to take for any of that 4090 slander yourself, are you?
Hey, you know what? I ain't even paying for no 4090. That's too damn expensive. I'm good. I've learned my lesson about $1,500 graphics cards. This 2080 Ti is riding me until it don't work no more.
Oh, so we're in the same boat. That's what I'm rocking right now. Listen, but I will say this much. Every time Strictly posts a picture of that 4090, I'm not going to lie to you. I have the Corsair, like, ready to go, buy the whole thing. I don't even care anymore. Send it to my house in 2 days. I got the itch in the finger, so I don't know when I'm going to pull the trigger on it, but I'm probably going to do something right after the new year. But listen, I want to get into it, guys.
I held out on the 3090. I'm going to hold out on the 4090.
Well, don't hold out too long now. I think those prices will drop, Kev. Just hold on and hang close to Mooch. I'll get you a low price, I promise. Listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and start with Strick. Strick, listen, before we get into the whole Xbox versus PlayStation versus PC, I want to talk about the game itself. Let's talk about the Callisto Protocol. And then, guys, we do have some breaking news that happened just before we went live. We'll talk about it in a second, but I really want to kind of get to some of these topics here. I know a lot of people are on the fence whether to buy it. So, Strick, let's talk about this. Let's leave performance to the end of your initial review here, your initial thoughts. What is your thoughts on the game as you were going into it, as far as expectations and grade, and where are you right now after, I know from watching you on Twitter, I know you've got a decent amount of hours into this.
Absolutely. First of all, man, going into the game, extremely hyped for it, man. I felt like it would bring a lot of immersion to the game.
Yes.
Whether the graphical fidelity, man. It just has that immersive feel. I'm a big horror sci-fi person. And honestly speaking, man, I've played about 2 hours of the game so far, and it's lived up to its expectations. Obviously, outside the performance issues on PC, but the game is phenomenal, man. It's extremely immersive, man. The audio's on point. Again, graphical fidelity, the movement. I think some people are upset because it really puts a lot of emphasis on melee combat and not shooting like Dead Space and things like that. Right. But to me, that's a good thing because that's what that's the difference in it. That's what makes it different than Dead Space. So again, man, phenomenal game so far. 2 hours in, I mean, there's no complaints for me so far, man. I can't wait to jump back into it after this cast. Honestly.
So what do you think though when you saw the Metacritic? I believe, listen, guys, we say this all the time, so please understand. I use it as a basis for a topic. I do not believe that Metacritic should ever decide whether or not you want to enjoy a game. But my question for you, Strict, is, because I think you may on the panel have the most hours into it, okay? Do you agree with the 75 it's earned so far?
Absolutely not. I mean, not 2 hours into it, I don't. Absolutely not, man. I think I do think there's probably PC people, going in there, downgrading it because of the performance or whatever. And some other people for whatever agendas they have. But honestly, it's definitely not a 75. If I had to give a score so far, probably around that 88, 89. Wow. Again, man, extremely immersive, man. The story so far good. I just don't really get the hate, man, personally. But this ain't no different than any other game, I guess, on PlayStation at least. It's going to get a lot of hate for whatever, agenda-based reason. But yeah, man, it's on point though. It's on point so far, man. Don't really look at them scores, man. It's not going to tell you. It's not going to tell you the story.
All right, well, no, I appreciate that. Strict shout out to the super chat guys. I see you guys out there. Andy Hart, he says loving the Callisto Protocol on PS5. Thoughts, please, Andy. We're going to get into that right now. Shout out to the great Jimmy Harrison. He says, my brothers, good to see you all. Jay, Rock, Strictly, what is up? Shout out to the great Jimmy Harrison. Prince Royalty Immortal, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Andy Hart's back. He says, Callisto Protocol running fine on my PS5. No issues like on PC and Xbox. Expecting a lot of patches, LOL. Shout out to Andy with a little bit of a low blow there for a couple of the folks in the community. And Tactical Gamer, Mooch Maniac family member. Quick shout out to Tactical Gamer. Yo, thank you so much for the... He's just done so much for the channel, first and foremost. He says, happy holidays, Mooch. Happy holidays to you, too, man. He's donated games to the Mooch, as you guys know. And I wouldn't be able to experience some of these games. And I'm going to be streaming that game tomorrow, Callisto Protocol on Twitch, thanks to the great Tactical Gamer. And shout out to Joey Bats as well. That being said, is anybody else on the panel? I believe as I speak, the great Dark Optimus is joining us right now. I'll do a quick introduction. Dark, welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing this evening? And are you playing Callisto Protocol? I know you've been a big fan of it prior to its release.
Playing with himself.
Oh.
Playing with your mom.
These guys, it's like we have brothers on the show. It's like real life brothers.
We actually are related. Most people don't know that.
I would believe it. I think everybody does know that. Dark, are you playing Callisto Protocol?
What's up, man? Not yet. I haven't. I wanted to finish Plague Tale Requiem first.
By the way,
and
I want to
then
say,
jump
I
into-
saw your tweet earlier. Dark Optimus, just so you guys know in the chat, he said, what a game, and he tweeted out 4 pictures of Plague Tale Requiem. I want to say thank you for beating that for all of us, because I played about 5 hours of it, and I went into an induced coma. So I want to say thank you.
Once you get to
That was horrendous.
certain part of that game, oh man, it gets good, man.
I would love you to
Towards
do a
the-
review so I can enjoy it through your
and
eyes.
I think I like it more because I have an older sister, so it's like it means something more to me.
That's weird.
That, so
That's really weird.
Yeah.
You should keep that to yourself, Optimus.
why?
Jesus Christ.
So wait, has anybody?
You know what? You know what it is? You know what it is? It's because BRAP has a problem with with affection and he's full blooded Latino, so he doesn't have any white in him
Oh wow.
like I do.
Oh, okay.
Oh, jeez, never
There
heard it
you
put
go.
that way before. Well,
Yeah.
has anybody else on the
Was
panel?
that too far? Was it too far? I don't
Well,
know.
not compared to
Yeah.
what you guys have
Might-
done in
might
the
be a little
past.
bit too far.
That was still like a 3 out of 10. Yeah, you guys have been a lot worse. You're good. You're good. So wait, real quick here. So I would say this much. I want to know who else on the panels played the Callisto Protocol. Anybody besides Strictly?
I played it. Did enough to do a PC port report. Got my refund on Steam.
Oh,
They should be ashamed.
wow, Kev. What
Oh,
was wrong?
man.
Kev? Was it just a performance
Should definitely
issue?
be ashamed.
It stutters hard.
The
Like
second you hit start, bro. The second you hit
the
start.
second you touch anything on that controller, it stutters hard. And I thought it was a good idea to also try it on the Steam Deck,
Hmm.
which was even worse.
I would
So
imagine.
imagine stutter. Well, I'm hitting like 120 FPS, and then it tries to load something, and it drops down to 30, and then it goes back up to 120, and it does that every time it has to load something. 'cause
That
it's
is
basically
really that is
like
dramatic.
little corridors, like Xbox 360 games, like PS3 games,
Hmm.
things of that era. Like you're going down this corridor, and it's doing this in like the tutorial.
That's a lot to take. Now, the last time I heard that kind of a failure on a PC port,
Hey,
wasn't
Kevin,
it
are you running Windows 11 by the way? Or just wondering,
10.
'cause I know there's 10. Okay, wow.
Yeah,
'Cause I know there's
I don't
Windows
I don't
11.
beta test Windows. I let
Is that
everybody.
a
else do
DX12 game? Could be shader cache.
It is the X12. Yeah. I think it's Unreal Engine.
Cash.
I found
It
both
is
from
like
Unreal
one-
Engine and Denuvo.
To go from 120 to 30 back up to 20, that's like really dramatic. Like, holy shit.
Bro,
That's
and
like
I'm
That's
jarring.
That's big
it
shit.
is the second you start the game, yo. Like I'm talking
Yeah.
about like the
It's in a
second
cutscene to
you
do
start.
it. It
Yeah.
wasn't in a cutscene.
Well,
It
that's
is
why
terrible.
you don't play on PC.
Oh.
You
Ew.
play on console.
No,
Oh,
You know,
I
it's funny.
don't do that.
Shots
I
fired.
refuse.
I got to be honest with you.
I'm not going back.
It's been a very long
Hey,
time on this show when
listen.
we've had PC
Everybody-
and PS5 arguments.
Everybody
you're talking
knows that
No.
that games are optimized more for console than they are for PC.
You're
Everybody
only
knows that
downgraded so they run.
until they update them. Until they update them, and then like a month from now or so, Callisto Protocol is going to be the shit on PC. So it's just
Well,
right out the
strictly-
gate. For some
It'll be the
reason,
shit
they
for
just
$5 when I pick it up on the Steam sale
Strict.
too.
Hey, you see, a lot of them are bringing up that patch that they're going to put out later
Yes.
because they put that tweet out. I mean,
Yeah.
because the second play, you see how quick people started sharing that tweet with the Halo multiplayer creative deck deleting. They did that quick as shit, but they ain't talking about that Callisto patch, are they? Because they know better. It's
Right.
agenda based.
they're like
But-
no,
but-
we're not.
but
We're
to
not
be
talking
fair,
about that.
To be fair though, when a game comes out, I mean, you the first time you get your hands on it is basically the reception you're gonna get. That's why I tell devs, don't release your stuff until you're ready to release it. Even if you have to release it a day or move the date back a day or two.
Yeah.
Because as soon, I pay $70 for a game. I expect it to be. I don't want to hear it have no hitches and I mean so.
But sometimes there's things that are
Look at something like Arkham
That's
Knight.
the thing. There's some things
Something
that
like
are
Arkham Knight that people talked about badly for years.
Yep.
That's
But
what
the game
I
was
gonna
fixed.
say.
Then
Yep.
the game was
Days
fixed within
Gone,
like a year.
remember? Days Gone got a
how
low
people remember about
Metacritic
it.
score because of that. And
Well, they also didn't
That's
have
all
the
people
little.
remember.
They didn't have the first day patch for that one either, though.
but that's what I'm
That's
saying.
nobody's problem but their
That's
own.
what I'm saying. Don't release a game without that day one patch. Don't even give it to the reviewers. And because what happens is these developers, they throw a game out there thinking, well, we'll just fix it later. But if I'm playing the game and I'm reviewing the game and it's a buggy mess, that's all I have to go by. Do not release your game until it's in the light that you want people to see it in. Simple. Simple.
The unfortunate part is that the unfortunate part,
it's still negative on Steam, but it runs phenomenally on PC now.
But again, the first reception is not going to be about where it is 8 hours later or 24 hours later. It's about when you.
110% agree with you.
Yeah, it's a first impression.
It's a narrative.
It's an old rule. First impressions count. I mean, it hasn't changed.
The unfortunate part, though, is that gamers continue to buying stuff, and so developers most developers don't have a lot of say. Really, don't have any say at all when these games.
Yeah, it's the marketing team has that.
It's the finance people. It's the bean counters that are like, hey, this game needs to go out because we need to meet a certain threshold of budget and. Or money back. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
What if, right, since that patch came out, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, whatever?
Yes.
What if they would have delayed just releasing the game until now?
That's what, Jay, I was just going to say that. So let me give credit to Jay for that segue, because Jay's right. And shout out also to BG, Broken Games. He has said this earlier in the day, too. He says, from now on, do us a favor, developers. And I'm paraphrasing, by the way. I'm not quoting BG. But he said, if you're going to release your game in December, we already know how it's going to come out. Just wait till January or February. Push that off and work on it a little longer. I mean, I got to be honest with you. How many December games have launched, right? And P-Rock, you were going through this in your head when you were thinking about a different situation. I'll ask you, how many games came out in December that you guys can remember are award-winning games, just came out flawless? It's not many, right?
Oh, none.
Rarely.
None. Almost
rarely.
none, dude. Yeah.
Maybe none, yeah.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, if it's an award-winning game,
Cyberpunk would have been if they didn't come out with those trash-ass PS4, Xbox One versions of the game.
And again, another game that runs beautifully now.
Yes, it does.
It does. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And look at that game. I mean, even
though it took a year, it took over a year.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they're looking at the numbers. Like even if you look at like the Cyberpunk, and we all agree it didn't release it didn't release well at all, especially on consoles. Like the game sold like it did gangbusters in sales, and now it's got like a second breath of light after the patches and the Blade Runner show on Netflix. Like it is that game is like just chugging along now. Yeah, I just think unfortunately it's the bean counters. I mean they're kind of the ones that push developers.
So BRAP, you make a good point. You make a good point about the bean counters, but at what point do they learn to associate the quality of the game with the eventual financial success of the game? Like, don't they notice? Like, hey, we launch a game, man, this game's doing terrible. Maybe it's because we made the decision to launch the game when it's ready. Is why, you know what I'm saying? Like, CD
I don't disagree. Yeah,
they admitted it. They're like, hey, we don't blame the devs. So, at what point do these finance guys across the industry realize the success of the game also hinges on the first impression quality of the game?
That's right.
If you launch like gamers, like you said, us gamers, we rarely give you a second chance. Like if we give you a second chance, it's when we buy a game at $5. That's when we'll give you a second chance, when it's a $5 sale. But at $70, especially at $70, you get the first impression or you're done. Like we don't owe you an obligation for a second chance. There is no obligation for that. You know what I'm saying? So get it right the first time.
So
or pay the consequence.
P-Rock, let me ask you a question then, because we've had this conversation on the show before. Is this a situation where the devs maybe wanted more time? Is this the publisher pressuring the developers to get this thing out the door?
I personally think every dev will like the max amount of time. I think every dev. I don't think there's a dev that's worried about to that extent. Like, oh, we gotta worry about the money. So yes, let me purposely launch a game I know is not ready. I don't think a dev does that. That's like a discussion between the devs and the publishers, and the dev does, hey, this game's not ready, but we'll have a patch ready between, a week or two. They're like, nope, release it, and then just keep working on the patch. Well, these finance guys don't realize you release a bad game, that will negatively trend across the board, and no one's going to buy a game. Like, you'll get the initial launch guys, you'll get the guys on YouTube who wants to stream new stuff, and maybe the guys who are new, but to get those really big sales, to get really trend, the game has to be quality, like Callisto's not going to get that.
But I think it depends. I think to your point though, like we have examples of games that release bad that sell well.
Yeah, exactly. Call of Duty. How many Call of Duties have released?
Well, so what?
Yeah.
Call of Duty is unique because it's Call of Duty. It's its own lane. Everybody just buys it.
Look at Cyberpunk.
That was another one.
But look,
Some of
look
these
how many,
Assassin's Creeds are like that too.
But look how many games got refunded for that, and then that shit got shut down.
But
and that's one of the few games. Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they got refunded. Like Cyberpunk definitely refunded, but it wasn't enough to like impact revenue or profit for them. So that
didn't they lose? Like, didn't their stock go down?
No. Well, the stock went down because of the scandal. With the bad press and everything with that, and the fumbling.
The game was still profitable.
But the game was very profitable. I mean, it did very well.
But also, think about it. They learned their lesson because isn't the DLC not on PS4 and Xbox One? They said, nah, we're done with that.
Cyberpunk, they moved on. Yeah, they're like,
that's what I'm saying. So they learned their lesson.
Never released on those consoles to begin with.
Exactly. They learned their
I
lesson.
also think that they knew that they couldn't come out with that DLC on the PS4 and the Xbox One because of the fact that they knew that it did so poorly and they can't optimize it to run on those consoles.
Yeah,
the
game's very CPU intensive.
There are.
It is.
There are games out there like Madden will get away with it. Madden will get away with it. 2K will get away with it, right? But that's not
because those are yearly reviews.
Yeah, Callisto Protocol is not Madden. We don't need, especially with Dead Space in January. We don't need a Callisto Protocol, so it's on them to prove their worth.
That's a really good point, P-Rock.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't really need a Callisto Protocol. Like, they have to prove their own worth to be something in this gaming industry.
That's the one thing I was saying, and I brought it up. Maybe
you got to prove to me.
I said when you have a Callisto Protocol, which is basically going to be a twin brother, if you will, to Dead Space remake that's coming out a month later, it really has to stand out. So, does the story stand out enough to separate itself from Dead Space? People are still saying, I love it so much, it reminds me of Dead Space. But then there's also the framing and pacing issues. And that's also the other thing. Strictly, I kind of want to hear your take on this. I heard it's unbelievably linear. I don't have a problem with that. Just reading that, I don't have a problem with that. But a lot of people nowadays, what do we want? We want these big, expansive worlds. Has this being so linear taken a bit of that excitement or fun away? Or no, that's fine. This is just the way the game is.
So far for me, it doesn't seem like extremely linear, like out of place to where it's just like restricted. Not to me, at least. Like, because there's certain places to where I got, and it's not like crazy open world or anything like that. But again, it's like you can go into different rooms and stuff like that. So it doesn't bother me personally, man. And honestly, for me, I'm kind of over the whole open world element of shit anyway.
Facts.
I mean, like outside of Horizon Forbidden West and Ghost of Tsushima, like there really hasn't been too many good open world games. And when they have been good, they've been just cluttered with bugs and shit because it's open world. So I'm just kind of over that at this point. I like linear games with open world elements to it. I think that's the best way to go about it. So I mean, but to P-Rock's point, he's right though. We don't really need a Callisto. And this is kind of good, like the way it released on PC. This is gonna hurt them because when their next game come out, people are gonna be real hesitant, to get their game because they have to prove to us that their game is worth getting. EA does not with Dead Space because we already know what to expect. So I agree with him on that.
Yeah. I think it's hard to say, like, I don't know. Like I look at this game, like if this game does well, it's they're gonna, then the devs are gonna pat themselves on the back, and people will just move on, and kind of like with Gotham Knights. If we heard the conversation about Gotham Knights, you would have thought the game would have flopped, and it's actually doing pretty well from a sales perspective. So I think that I think this game. I think Strick actually brought up a good point, like about open world and linear. Like I don't think every game needs to be open world. Like it's okay if a game doesn't have. And big shout to the drunk cat who said this on Twitter today. Is like every game has to have like this like fleshed out RPG system where you can like customize your character to wazoo. Like a linear story is okay, and I'm like, yeah, that's actually a nice change of pace where you can just pick up a controller and just play the game,
right?
and just progress. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think every game needs to be like this, like Strick said, open world and like be able to do all these different things like that. Like while I enjoy those experiences, like I don't want every game to be that experience.
BRAP, you make a good point too, because I think too many games these days are just, and this is just the games industry as a whole, too many carbon copy repeats, too many remixes of the same game. Everything wants to be an open world. Everything wants to be a third-person action game with RPG elements and open world and stealth elements. Like you need, and I think the developers think you need all of these. Every shooter is a battle royale.
Everything wants to be a service game.
Exactly.
That's a fact.
So at what point do we dial it back and just go back to, hey, stay in your lane. I don't need you to be 5-6 things at once. If you're going to be like a third person action story game, knock that out of the park. If you're going to be a first person shooter, I'll use Halo as an example. Be an excellent first person shooter first. We'll worry about the open world later. Let's worry about, getting the multiplayer and that single player right.
Well, let me say this much. So what do you guys think about this? Everybody on this panel right now, podcasts, has been on multiple podcasts for years. Shout out to Cloakdonics, first of all, for that amazing super chat. That is beyond gracious. Thank you for that holiday gift. I appreciate that, Cloaked. He says, question for Porter Rock 77, though. He says, why aren't you talking about the good, well-made games like God of War Ragnarok as much as the bad, poorly made games? The bean counters know that the bad games get more of a spotlight. This podcast proves that. So, P-Rock, what do you think about that?
Oh, does Sony
I know what my answer to Cloak is.
I got that.
And
Answer's easy. The answer's easy. Sony actually delays their game. They have no.
That's true. Yeah.
And God of War didn't come out in December.
Yeah, we see it all the time. All the developer tells them he has no problem going. Hey, Horizon's not coming out. February.
Yeah.
People have to act. People have to stop acting like we said. Look, we said this prior, man. People have to stop acting like outside of PlayStation games are coming out like A1 day one. They're not. The PlayStation is the only games that's coming out day one and performing well. Like there's very few other third-party developers that's putting out games, and you can sit there and say, "Oh, I know this game's going to hit day one. Yeah. I know it's going to perform well day one."
But I think it's because Sony recognized
that's true, Strick.
Let's be real.
They're also developing from
in fact, Days Gone probably one of the places that should have been delayed further, wasn't.
Well, so you know what? Porter Rock,
I didn't launch.
Porter Rock, your mic's cutting out, so I don't know if you have to reset it. I want to hear what you have to say. But let me just add to what.
Holy shit.
Let me add let me just add a little bit to what Porter Rock's saying. I will say this much because me and Crap, shout out to Crap Gamer by the way. Me and Crap used to talk about this all the time. Is that Days Gone is a phenomenal game. The reason it reviewed bad,
too, by the way.
The reason it reviewed bad, it had a day one patch. The review, which rightfully so, I'm not blaming the reviewers here. The reviewers gave it the grade it was because it needed a day one patch. Where Sony was guilty in that case, my opinion is they should not have released the game to reviewers till that patch was ready to go. Because they gave the reviewers it was a less than 100% quality product that we got. So,
and it's funny.
Go ahead, Shrek.
And it's funny because this may correlate to it, or it may or may not correlate to it. But it's funny because the sequel to Days Gone did not get greenlit.
No, it
did not. So even with that release, we know how bad the performance was with Days Gone. With that release, it did not get greenlit for a sequel. So.
It's kind of. I've always found
something else to keep in mind too. When we talk about developers putting out polished games, there really only are two publishers that are really putting out polished games every day in day out.
Who's that now?
Nintendo and PlayStation.
Well, those are first party. Those are first party.
I'm saying in general. Like I don't care if it's first party, third party. I think everybody else party release issues.
My expectation is first party should definitely be putting out games that are well optimized for their platform because they're only focusing on one platform. They're not stretched. They're not trying to optimize, for different SKUs.
I used to think that too, but Xbox has changed my thought process on that.
Well, okay. The conversation is probably a little more nuanced than that. I would agree with you there. Like it also comes down to, be able to manage, your production pipeline, things like that. So. Yeah, in that regard, I don't disagree with you.
Well, Chad Stud in the chat, he says here, Horizon Forbidden West still had bugs. The difference here, though, Chad, is saying that a bug, it wasn't a game-breaking bug. I don't believe it. I platinumed it. I didn't think it. None of the bugs, if I ran into one or two, did it ruin my experience.
All games have bugs. There's certain bugs that people don't notice, but all games have bugs.
Yeah, but they're minor.
Yeah, but there's unplayable bugs, and then there's bugs.
Right, that's my point,
bugs,
Greg.
which is in her,
Exactly,
and that's what is alluding to. Like Horizon Forbidden West, we're not saying it was perfect, but it wasn't anything to where it was like, oh, this is unplayable. I'm not playing it until it's fixed. But Days Gone, it was terrible. And by the way, let me say this last part. There's some dope people in this chat. There was 290 people in here and only 60 likes. I need y'all to hit the like button. Please.
Thank you, Strict. I appreciate that. Guys, we have a couple of super chats here that I want to talk about, and then I want to get. If you look at the scrolling subject line there, I changed it, but we're going to stay with Callisto Protocol here, but we're going to talk a little bit more in depth with it. Let me just say, shout out real quick to Magnum Visuals. He says, Callisto feels like it's set up to be episodic. Maybe Sony is trying them out before an acquisition happens. So I thought that same thing, too, when we saw the Sony developers going to help them. I'll ask you guys. So just real quick, J-Dub, I'll start with you. Jay, do you think that this is a situation where Sony's closely monitoring the success of this game? Not necessarily today in the 75 meta, but over the duration of the next few months to see how it sells, to see if maybe they do want to acquire this team. This is a new team.
No, I don't think it's an acquisition deal. I'll be honest. I think Sony saw that it was a small team making this game, and they had the technology to be able to help these guys out. So they used a lot of their motion capture facilities, and again, it's a small team, and I think they just decided to help them out. So I don't think Sony's going to acquire the team or anything like that. I just think it was like, hey, let's see if we can kind of help these guys get this game, across the board. That'll just, I honestly, I think Sony has too much on their plate from all their other studios. They recently just bought, bunch of people that are doing some stuff. They partner with a lot of developers through the China Joy initiative, and so they just did the deal for the publishing of Lost Soul Aside, right? And so they have a lot of stuff on their plate. So I think it was more of a, hey, let's help these guys out, and you know what? Maybe in the future they'll be able to make some games for us. Maybe we can do a marketing deal or something like that.
Well, Jay, they have a marketing deal with them right now. I mean, they have the market. I mean, you see all the commercials running right now. It's all Callisto Protocol tied to PlayStation.
Yeah, I think Jay's even taking it a step further, BRAP. I think he's saying they'll prolong that relationship maybe into a further game. I mean, think about it. They did that with House Marquee until they acquired them. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I see this game's like getting 70s. I think, and I've been saying this for a long time. A 70 for a game of this genre,
score, man. That's a good score.
It's going to appeal to people who are fans of this kind of genre. Like it really is. Like anything, like if it's outside, like it's not gonna appeal to people who don't like this type of genre. Like when you start getting into the high 80s, 90s, those are games that have cross appeal to people that aren't even fans of a specific genre. So even a 70. Yeah. If you're a fan of like this kind of game, you're probably going to like it.
So while you're saying that, I just went ahead and looked here. One of my favorite games, and if you guys are in the horror genre fan like I am, I love the Evil Within 2. The Evil Within 2 on PS4.
Talk about your mom like that.
It got a 76. So Brad, what you said really holds some water there. I kind of agree with you on that.
I played a lot of 70 games that I thought were great.
Yeah, I thought that was a great.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, right? When I see a 70 for a game like that, I'm just like, okay, I know I'm gonna like it because simply it's a horror game, and I know that horror games.
Say that about your mom.
Right? Get out of here! Shut up. Go bask in some freaking cocoa butter or something.
Hold on, what? What? Oh my god!
Days Gone got a 71 when it released, and it's still one of my favorite games ever.
Jay, right? Absolutely. Jay, it's one of my favorite games. Like I almost didn't play it because it was a 70, and then people were like, "No, BRAP, you got to play it." I'm like,
but BRAP, here's the thing, right? And this is why I explain to people. The reason it has a 71, and it deserves it, rightfully so, because they put that game right in people's hands without it being patched, without it being fixed. And I'll say this until the cows come home. Do not put your game in my hands without it being playable, without it being super buggy and all that stuff. And it deserves it. I don't care if you fix it 6 months,
that's a fact.
2 weeks,
Agreed.
3 weeks down the line. And I know it's a Sony first party IP, but at the end of the day, they need to be held. Any developer, I don't care who you are, whether you're Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, I'll be honest. What's the Nintendo game that just came out? Right, that's
Pokemon?
the performance is horrible.
Pokemon, yeah.
I don't think it
Pokemon.
deserved the score that it got because
That's
of
the
that.
thing, Pokemon.
You know, and
Pokemon has
I'm
had
almost willing to give
problems for a while now. though.
Nintendo a slight pass because they've released like 4 Pokemon games this year. Like,
Yeah,
they were
I don't
insane.
know. I don't give them a pass because why don't you delay the game, right?
Oh, I
And
agree.
fix
They
it?
should have.
People spend their hard. We spend our hard-earned money, right, on these games. If the developer, we there has to come a point in time where we have to hold the line and say, listen, we're not falling for another Cyberpunk again. Nothing is wrong with delaying this game for a week, 2 weeks, or whatever to get that extra time in to make sure that it's playable and enjoyable. And if it's not, it deserves the Metacritic score it gets. And I gave.
Jay,
Yeah, what is
let
the
me
score on
wait.
Metacritic? I honestly don't follow Metacritic.
75.
I didn't even know Callisto. I didn't know that until he came on. I was like, I just
Which
assumed
isn't bad
this was
because
score.
if it's a Pokemon game, everybody knows. Okay, if it's 75, they know they're going to play it anyway.
Well, we're going to get into that because shout out to TrueWiddy who says Pokemon says hi when we were saying Nintendo and Sony don't. Pokemon released just recently. Now, guys, correct me here, and I don't have the great Chris Righteous with us tonight, but if anybody can chime in and help, Pokemon, is that considered a first-party game from Nintendo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
that is one of
Yeah,
If that is
Nintendo's
first,
big hitter.
I mean, the latest
It
Pokemon
is. That's
has
a
been hit
first-party
with,
IP.
that has been hit with tremendous amounts of criticism.
And let me say
No,
this.
it
'cause I
always
said-
does. You know
and let me
why?
say
Because
this
the fans freaking are ridiculous over there
Yeah.
at Nintendo.
Ni-
when it comes
Nintendo
to-
criticism
that's a fact.
don't matter because the gamers are going to buy it anyway, whether it's broken or not.
10 million.
Exactly.
And let me say this because earlier I gave my score, but I wanted to make sure people knew like that's just not counting the performance issues. Like it deserves that score because of the performance issues. You cannot release your title day one. You're a new studio. I mean, you can't do it, period. But you're a new studio, new game, and you release it with these amount of issues. You can't do it. They are cooking them on Steam, and I'm just over these developers, getting away with shit like this because I even mentioned it on Twitter. Like they haven't put out any of the specs prior to it. It came out like a day before the release.
That's right.
So they were hiding that information on purpose. And I'm tired of getting these
Yes.
developers to pass and what people are doing. They're saying, hey, you need to be nice and choose it. No, I'm done with that because they weren't nice to my wallet when I bought their fucking game.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
And it's not performing up to par. So I'm done with that.
Yep.
Like that's
Yes.
No, preach strict. I agree on that. You know what I mean? They
They-
didn't give you a discount when you hit the buy button. Go ahead. Was that P-Rock wants to
I
chime in?
gave my money back though.
The developers and the publishers, they got to be in better in sync. Especially if you're creating a new studio, they got to know that they have to come out with their best first impression because part of the performance, how the game runs well, that's all part of the conversation that gamers have. And if you mess that up and it inhibits your experience, your enjoyment of the game, hey, that's your first impression. People are just gonna look at you at best as just a mid developer, and they'll just move on. And then no one or very few people will look forward to your next project. Because when you announce your next project, be like, wait a minute, aren't you guys that made this trashy game? That's gonna be the first comment.
It's right.
That's not always
I mean,
the
you're
case.
You're only
guys.
as good as your
Yeah, that's
resume,
not always
Look at the
P-Rock.
Witcher
That's
remake.
the
Look at
last
the
one,
reception
yeah.
the Witcher remake is getting.
You can look at Platinum Games. How many games have they made that are really freaking fantastic? A few.
Mhm.
But they made a lot of shitty fucking games, dude.
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
mean, and people are still buying their damn games for some
Right.
reason.
It's all about how you market it.
right.
You know, it's funny.
And
We
that-
have
that's
we
what
have
it comes
we have a
down to.
lot of let's remember now. We are in a mass amount of knowledge, information with the internet, Twitter, different social media outlets, and we all can communicate with some of these developers now. I remember being a kid, just getting my Nintendo Power, and I used to get excited about a game, and I'd read about it for months, if not years, in that magazine. I remember many times. I think I'm going to strike some memory chords with some people on the panel and some in the chat. I remember then going out. I was a paper boy. I had that hard-earned money saved up for months to get one game. I remember getting home.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong. I played it till my fingers bled because, you bought the game. You bought the game. That was it. But I remember sometimes being ridiculously disappointed in certain games, not because of maybe the poor play of it, but I just didn't care. It didn't live up to the hype. But here we are now where we are very, very critical of every game. And I'm asking this question. Remember, we're all consumers on this end of it. Do you think we are overly critical? I'll start with Merc. Are we overly critical? You hear me, you hear Strick, you hear P-Rock. Are we just doing our due diligence as consumers and voicing our opinion?
No, I think we're doing our due diligence just as gamers, period. Because if we don't take a stand, it's like saying it's like you're raising a child and you don't hold them accountable.
Right.
What happens? They just live
do it
free
again.
willy
They
out
do
there,
it
right?
again.
They're just
Yeah.
gonna do it again. What's interesting about the gaming industry is this has happened repeatedly over the years. In fact, in recent time, like we got releases like Battlefield, like that game was borderline unplayable. Battlefield 2042 when it launched. That same franchise, when Battlefield 4 dropped, the same thing. And it's like all these developers, even though they see the big, the gamers complaining, you'd figure that they would learn. And it seems like regardless of how the game is going to run at launch, and I agree with J-Dub about, telling developers about that initial perception of when a game launches.
Yeah.
It almost seems like the suits in the room, hey, man, we're going to push this out, and hey, man, it is what it is. We got to hit the metrics in order to look profitable for our investors or whatever the case might be. And it's a shame. Yeah. It's a shame, but that seems to happen continually, and it's happened with so many games, and there's a ton of examples. I'm sure we could all reel off a whole bunch of games, and it continues to happen, man. And I just see, even though we hold them accountable, I don't see the developers ever changing, man. I think we're going to get buggy, broken games at launch, games that run poorly.
Also to add,
I don't think we hold them accountable.
This is the thing, though. Also to add, we're not even. It's not a one-way street, because when we talk about these $70 games, we don't mind paying $70, but your product has to live up to that expectation.
Yeah.
One side is not living up to that expectation. We sit here and say, hey, I don't mind paying $70 as long as I get the quality product and it performs well. I'm fine with that, but it's not performing well. So goddamn, it shouldn't be 70. Period. It needs to be fixed.
The gamers aren't holding their end of the bargain too. I mean, like there's again, I go back to Cyberpunk, go back to what was the Gotham Knights, which is selling well. Cyberpunk sold well. So it's not developer, it's consumers. Consumers aren't voting with their wallets per se. They're going out, they're buying these games in masses and making and driving profitability. So
I used to believe that until we have a trillion fucking casuals. There's way more casuals than hardcore gamers. So yeah, absolutely. Like that. Yeah, but so they're going off at a casual gamers. They just are, and there's way more casual than hardcore gamers.
Think about it. We talked about
to say that there's probably.
If we talk about us complaining as gamers on the internet to these devs, there's like a couple hundred of us that might be complaining tops.
Yeah,
like the Twitter thread and look at the hundreds of thousands that ain't saying nothing.
But don't forget, though, Kev, don't forget, in respect to everybody out there on Twitter, whether it be an outlet or somebody with a big YouTube channel, doesn't matter what we're talking about here. Each person, even if it's 200 people tweeting out these complaints, you've got thousands, and depending on who we're talking about, maybe tens of thousands of people following. So the word spreads quickly, and I think these companies know that.
Bro, use Clyde.
Spreads, but I mean, how many people don't follow?
But Clyde is a perfect example. Like, you know how many times the hardcore COD player base complains on Twitter? It don't change shit because there's more casuals making more money.
Game again.
Madden too.
Yeah, like it don't change. It's not going to change because the hardcore player base on Twitter is the very, very loud minority. That's just a fact.
I remember I went on even like something like 2K. I went on to the Reddit for NBA 2K like a few years back, saying how I didn't like how they were doing the microtransactions, and they thought I was wild and thought everything was okay. Said there was nothing. Every game should be doing this. I don't understand. They were calling me some kind of casual because I just didn't pay for it. Like, when you get into these large niche communities, or when you get into the larger gaming community, it's going to be very different from when you get the casuals that don't interact online at all, and then like the hardcore base that just don't give a damn.
Well, that's the thing. They're never. It's never going to change, guys. You know why? Because they can patch it. They're like, oh, we can patch it later. It's just never going to fucking change. Even if we speak with our wallets or whatever, it doesn't matter. They're just going to be like, oh, we'll patch it later. It's just the nature of the business right now. That's just the way it is. And you can disagree or agree, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. But they're not going to change shit. They're just not.
I want to
catch it on the Steam sale.
So let me ask this question. I'll go to P-Rock. P-Rock, I want to get you involved in this real quick. I have this thing scrolling down here, and I haven't asked anybody verbatim yet. Okay. The question is, and shout out to Kofi. I saw Kofi talking about this, and it struck something. I wanted to kind of have a discussion on the show about it. Release the game. We'll fix it later. So P-Rock, when you hear that kind of a quote, which is what we keep hearing, oh, there's a patch coming, there's a patch later. Or maybe a games as a service situation, and I use this as an example. You could use Fortnite, which had beta stamped on it for like 5 years, or you can go ahead and take something like Sea of Thieves, where whenever I bring up Sea of Thieves is not really, I think, Rare's best foot forward because of how it launched. People tell me, well, it's better now. Well, I mean, anything would be better now. If you were to go take an exam and fail it, but the teacher lets you keep going home and then try it again, then you bring it back in and you get 2 right out of the 5 you had wrong, and you keep bringing it back. Eventually, you'll get to 100%, right? Or pretty damn close. But the point of the matter was when you took the exam, you failed. So how is it, P-Rock, when you keep hearing people say, oh, there'll be a patch out later for it, don't worry. Who do we really blame when it comes to this? Because, I mean, who set this mindset for the developers and for us?
I think to Brad's point, I think to Brad's point, I think it's the consumers continuing to buy the games have allowed the developers and the suits at these publishers to have that mindset.
Well, I think it's the community accepted, right? Because
yeah, of course,
like the community accepted for games, but like imagine going to a car dealership and you drive off your car and you're like, and like let's say like your cruise control and the radio don't work. No, we'll fix that later. Like, wait,
Right.
what? Like, huh? Like, no. Like everything works off the lot, like right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And like I hate that mentality of we'll just fix it later. No, how about you delay the game and just make it right? Because what that does to me is if you're the type of developers that are we're releasing now but fix later, well, that tells me don't buy your game now. Maybe buy later. And that's pretty much how I look at it. So like some developers, some publishers, I don't buy their games day one because they have that mentality. So I'm like, I'll wait 6 months for a sale because all those patches comes out, and then I'll just, if I want to play the game, I'll play the game when it's actually fixed.
Yes.
And guess what? You don't get the full $70. That's your choice, because I know that's important for developers. They want those $70. They don't want the the $30 sales.
The initial rush of sales.
Yeah,
the initial rush, the initial hype.
Yeah, but you're not gonna get full $70 while you not giving full complete game. You know what I'm saying? I'm
in fact, it's always best to wait until the game's like $20. You get a better version of the game for $20.
Exactly.
Every time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit around and wait for a working game while I already gave you full money.
See, that's the thing. So that's the same way. That's the same way it kind of goes for me with Cyberpunk 2077. I agree with what Kev said, and I believe BRAP was saying that game is probably working phenomenally right now. And I know it actually is. I've seen people streaming it. It works really well, and it looks good. It's actually
it runs really well right now.
You know what? That's why this is part of why PlayStation needs a better refund policy. Because once them refunds start kicking in and people returning their game, I bet you that patch come out quicker. So I do.
Or when releasing the state it was in strict.
Yeah. Oh no. I agree 100%. I'm just saying, like, I do think it started with us gamers for sure because we were buying these games, but now there's just more casuals than ever. So I feel like now with the hardcore gamers like us, it doesn't even matter. Our voice.
You made a good point about PlayStation refund.
I think it started
$5 and change, $5.
I think it started with the whole, and I know people are going to give me shit about this, but it started with the whole internet, Xbox Live, doing all that stuff during that time frame. And then they started making DLC for games, right? And then they started realizing, oh well, we don't have to like completely make the game. We can just make the game and then patch it later, and it'll be fine.
Right.
And then that's what happened. It's not necessarily always on us. It's actually on the developer.
No, let me piggyback that real quick because I do want to agree to that. We had this conversation when Halo came out, and we also talked about, I believe it was Staten who said this. Well, the game's not ready, but remember he made that tweet or he did a video, and he's like, the game is not exactly complete, but why not release it now? We're working on it all the time. We want to get what we have out there. That was it. And I'm paraphrasing, but I'm not far off. You guys remember that video, do you not? It was when they released it last year. They said, we just want to get it. Let's get it out there. Let's get it into the gamers' hands. But when they gave it to us, it was still a half of a shell of a game.
Yeah.
And it's like
what was there was good. It's just we wanted more of it.
It wasn't. Yeah, what was there was good. It was polished, but it wasn't enough. It really wasn't enough. And that goes for the single player and the multiplayer. As you can see, that it's kind of dwindled down. And I told you guys we'd have late breaking news. I have here, it's a tweet that came out, and I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at it real quick. Tom French, after over 11 and a half years on Halo, I stepped out of my Spartan armor for the last time today to head off to a new adventure. It's been a massive honor to have been part of a game I love so much as a player and admired so much as a developer. I couldn't be more proud of 343. So they lose their multiplayer creative director. Now, it was really funny before the show started. I believe it was Merck. Merck said, great, good, get out of here. And he didn't mean that in a bad way. He really didn't. He didn't.
Yeah.
He meant
That's
that
true.
as in, this was the team that put something out that you could say for some would consider a failure or considered was just less than suitable for the Halo franchise. So, Merck, I'll go to you on this. You hear an individual like that is leaving. I know you said what you said, but I got to be honest, I'm right there with you, by the way. So I'm right there with you. We're in the same camp. Let's get some new blood in there. But what does this do to the franchise? I mean, this is a situation which really does go hand in hand with our topic right now of let's just release it and we'll fix it later. I think gamers have had enough of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, for me, the fact that he left and what this means for the Halo franchise, maybe not in the right here and the right now, but I see it as a win because as a big Halo fan that I am, and to see how Xbox and Microsoft fumbled the ball with, Call of Duty stumbling out of the gate at the time. Battlefield 2042 was broken at launch.
Yep.
I felt they were in a prime position. I think the core of what they put together was great. But the decision making and what the team did in order to be able to supplement what's a games as a service game and actually go out there and deliver constant content in what is a service game and what those other games like Fortnite has set the standard on the cadence on what should be coming out with service games. Mm-hmm. Man, they really fumbled the ball. So for me, it's a time for new blood, a new team. Let's get new people in there, new ideas. And maybe if Halo Infinite can't be resuscitated, maybe their next game will benefit from it, man.
No, I agree. Shout out, I got a couple super chats I fell behind on, and then we'll go to a new subject here. Rob Jones, he says, can't stay long, Mooch. My little girl isn't feeling well. Enjoy your weekend, everyone, and enjoy gaming. Rob, hope she's feeling better, and thank you for everything. And thanks for joining the channel, Rob. Means a lot. Before Country's here, we can now start the show. He says, bias panel. None of this applies to From Software games. I think this is when we were talking about whether, Sony, Nintendo, Xbox put out quality games and third party doesn't. I think Babor is trying to say that none of this applies to From Software games. So he's saying, do they get a? I think he's saying
he's just terrible at From games. That's why he's saying that.
Oh, leave
Do they
Babor
get a pass?
alone.
No,
Brad.
they don't, because
Nobody gets a pass.
Elden Ring came out. It was fantastic, for everybody. But for me, it was meh. It was whatever.
Elden Ring had a
I didn't
stutter
really
on
like it.
PC for like 9 months.
If y'all know,
And
how
it
I
had-
feel
it had a
about
problem.
From Software games. Y'all know how I feel about it. I do not like From Software. They get away with the most basic shit.
They do. They do.
I'm sorry. That's
they
just
do.
what I feel about it, and that's how I feel about it.
No,
And
it's
I
true.
haven't
He's
played a
absolutely right. They
From
get away
Soft
with
game since
bloody
Dark
murder
Souls
half the
3.
time.
So
Wait, Kev, what'd you say about Dark Souls 3?
I haven't played a FromSoft game since Dark Souls 3.
Oh man.
Yeah, Dark Souls 3 released also
I'm
in bad
I'm a
shape.
big From Software fan.
No. It was.
I thought it released pretty
in great
good.
shape.
Okay, I
Yeah,
thought
It
that was
released
good.
pretty
I
good.
thought
I
Bloodborne did
I
too.
was
Sekiro,
kind
I
of
thought
burned
did
out
too.
on the formula after that.
Oh, Bloodborne came out before Dark Souls 3. So
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
did.
came out like a year before. I
A
think.
year before,
Yeah, I think-
2015,
I
I,
thought
believe was Bloodborne.
I thought Sekiro was
Sekiro was
good
after.
too.
Sekiro came out after Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
Sekiro was good.
Sekiro
I thought
was
Sekiro
good.
was solid.
But Elden Ring was it was garbage, dude. I'm sorry, but I know a lot of people love that fucking game, but Elden Ring was garbage, dude. It was
It's
just
'cause-
it was terrible.
That's because you were eating a burrito and got messy while you're playing it. But I understand.
Dark. Let's see if Jeff Keighley agrees with you next week. Shout out to Julian Johnson.
He's not.
No, he's not.
Let's go, Keely.
Shout out to Julian Johnson, aka
Here's the game of the
Juju.
year.
My boy Juju's here. He says, "Brethren, happy Friday to you all." Julian, thanks for being here, buddy. Thanks for being a part of the channel. Cloaked Onyx. I already read his. That we have another one from Cloak coming up. TrueWiddy says, "Optimized games, huh?" He goes, "Pokemon says hi." TrueWiddy, I told you I'd bring that up. We already discussed it. Tactical Gamer, he says, "Striking distance. The Callisto Protocol creator is owned by Krafton, the PUBG publisher." So I appreciate that, buddy. Yes.
Oh, well, PUBG released broken as hell too.
PUBG
Oh, yeah,
released
that game released.
worse than broken.
But I'll tell you what, though, Kev, I love the hell of that game. I played it. I put a lot of time into it. Even broken as hell, I still put a lot of time
I
into
did
it.
too. I did too. Shout out to Magnum Visuals. He says, "How
See,
is
that's part of the problem.
It is.
Exactly.
That's what we just.
I'm part of the problem.
man. We are
I
the
just
problem.
heard the problem.
That's what we.
Yeah, I wouldn't
That's what
blame
Slick was
just
saying.
casuals. I think hardcore gamers are part of the problem too.
We got an outline T here where he said FromSoft, aka 2 gens ago software.
Yo, shout out to
I
the
mean, he's
chat.
not wrong. But
I don't mind if the graphics look like that because the
That's
gameplay
fine.
is usually on point.
Hey, I got a question for Strict here from a super chat. Strict, I got to go to you because you've played the game. He said, "How now, Strict? Have you played it on the PS5 yet, or only on your PC?"
No, only on my PC. Only on my PC.
Okay,
so
so
far.
I don't know if anyone can answer this, Magnum. Magnum Visual says, "How is the PS5 version running it with 2 ray tracing modes?" I mean, can we discuss?
I heard
that?
it was good. I heard it was the best performance so far. So I mean, I haven't seen.
Digital Foundry.
Digital Foundry said so. I
There you
mean,
go.
yeah, like
they had PlayStation developers helping them make the game, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
Is this cool?
Well, what's the
main
quality?
them PlayStation tools.
If that's
bro.
the case, though, you got to think about it, guys, right?
yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
We can't use that excuse because if we're going to use that logic, then what about Need for Speed? What about Call of Duty Warzone? What about the Evil West? There's more games that really just dropped recently that the PS5 is just killing it. And so when people try to use that excuse,
Listen.
Absolutely not. We're not going to let J-Dub get away from
what do you got,
Evil West.
Strict?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. J-Dub, you better stop smoking. What are you smoking? Evil West playing like shit on every platform. You're not about to get away with that. We're not going to
I'm gonna say this.
I'm gonna say
better
on
listen,
PlayStation.
I'm
gonna say this. In memory
Listen,
of,
I don't include PC right in console space at all. You should never include that. I don't know why PC guys jump into the whole console thing, right? It's like why?
I got like 3 PlayStation 5, so you can't even talk to me about the PlayStation 5, sir.
Absolutely. My PC, I got a 4090, I got everything else, so it's like
Exactly. So we're in the same boat, same paddle.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I never include PC in that because it shouldn't even be in the topic of discussion. We're talking about.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
I do
we're
agree
talking
with that
about the masses, right? It's the masses, and the masses are on console, and so when we're comparing $399 consoles, $299 consoles, and $500 consoles, that's kind of where I kind of draw the line. And for the masses, these games run better on PS5, and so that's kind of where we have to start that topic talking about it.
That's a fact. I'm just saying that the people, the Twitter community, they made it about the whole PC thing. I mean, but again, I play. Y'all know me. I play regardless. Whether PC, PS5, y'all know the vibes.
Strictly, but you're a PC gamer, right? But let's move you out the way. We know for a fact a lot of these PC guys only try to bring PC part of the conversation because a lot of them have spent a lot of money, just like you and I, right? Spend $1,500, $1,600, $2,000 on video cards, and to have games that come out that run subpar is not really.
It's not acceptable.
I mean, that's a kick in the balls, man.
Yeah,
you spend all this money. You got this $5,000 rig. You got the $2,000 monitor, and yet a PS5, or the console.
Hold on. Let me answer. Hold on. Let me answer that. Let me answer this for J-Dub because I agree 1,000% with him. But where the problem lies at is where people are blaming the fault at. The fault is on the developer. Period. Yes. Because us as consumers, we lose. It's not about being a PC game or a PS5 or whatever. We as consumers lose because guess what? They're gonna look and be like, "Oh, did they accept the fact that we released it in this state? Oh, they did. Bet so we can get away with that on any other platform."
What's even crazier than that?
I agree. But strictly,
made on PC.
But strictly, you have to admit though, right? Yes, the developer. They get a lot of blame, but at the same time, the developer can't make a game that's specific for every single configuration of every PC that's out there. It's almost impossible.
Yeah,
right?
but that's different. That's not what we're asking. We're asking for it to perform like it was like they said it would. Like it was advertised. They advertised it to perform well. It came out stuttering the second you hit the start button to start the game.
Absolutely.
Again, so this is, I get what you're saying, but this is not even about that. We as consumers, we lose, period.
Yeah, listen, we're on the same page on that. When it comes to PC gaming, I look at it a little bit differently, right? Because I do spend a lot of money on my PC because I want my games to run at the top frames, at the top resolution. I don't want to have to turn any check marks off. And when I have to start unchecking boxes to get a game to run how it should on my PC after I didn't spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on it, I'm pissed. Especially when a person just spent $299 on a console and their game is running flawlessly. That pisses me off. But that happens more often than most PC gamers are willing to admit.
I disagree.
Actually, I disagree with that heavily.
That's simply false. Simply false, bro. You're definitely trying to take. You're definitely trying to take. Respectfully, you're trying to take away blame from the developer. This is 100% on the developer. I don't care because guess what? It doesn't depend on your graphics card. People are having performance issues on 2080s, 1080s, 4090s. That means it's not the PC. It is the developer, and they need to be held accountable for that.
To be fair, PC doesn't have that Mark Cerny power in it. You know what I'm saying? That's all. I'm gonna leave it there.
So now you're deflecting. So that's called deflection. That's called deflection.
Yeah. Look,
That's a nice deflection.
I hear that argument a lot. That games are more optimized on console. And you know what? On occasion, that might be the case. However, games that launch like Callisto, that there's this stutter, there's an obvious problem with the game. That's very much, from time to time that happens. That's not a very regular occurrence. On a very regular cadence, games drop and the definitive version's the PC day one.
Yeah, more often than not.
Well, more often than not.
I don't agree that the PC
name me the games. Name me the games.
Listen.
No, I just need you to name me the games that run like Callisto when they launch.
The reason I don't agree that the PC has a definitive version, right, is because the majority of PC gamers are not playing with those specs that my PC and your PC and other people's PC, right? We would love to think that everybody has a 3090 Ti and a 4090, but according to Steam, right, the majority of the gamers play with a PC with the graphics card is equivalent to a GTX 1060. So majority of those gamers are playing at 1080p. They're not playing with ray tracing. They're not playing.
It's actually 2060.
Well, all I know is when we came onto this panel talking about this topic, y'all damn sure wasn't talking about those people. The first thing y'all said was that 4090. So keep that same energy.
That's what I'm saying.
Keep that same energy.
BRAP is on the panel and you're on the panel. That's why I brought it up, right? Now clearly we all have the
same energy.
We all have the top shelf stuff, right? But at the end of the day, don't you think that 100 T-flop card in that top of the line, you know what I'm saying, CPU should be able to muscle through that.
That sounds crazy as hell. J-Dub, please stop.
I'm just asking the question that the console gamers want me to ask. That's all.
Hey, J-Dub, you might want to go back into your little hiatus, man. I don't know what you got going on.
Jay is just, he's representing. He's doing his job representing consoles. That's all he's here to do, folks. Okay, Jay's doing his job.
And it's my job to push the console players that ask questions into a locker.
PC busted race. What are we doing here?
No, honestly, shout out to Mark Cerny because I still had that same sentiment. Mark Cerny is a genius. The PS5 is the easiest, most efficient console to develop for. Period. That's not debatable. But what you're saying is simply false. As simple as that. You giving these developers a pass. We not giving them no pass.
No pass.
Okay. I get you.
I mean, for the console, I definitely like the PS5. Definitely.
But I'm just saying, for $299. I can kind of deal with some stuff, but for $6,000,
I'm not dealing with nothing.
$1,000 PC bill.
I don't know who has a $6,000 console, but look, I
mean, $6,000 PC. I have to try hard to build a $6,000 PC. I don't think 4090s or something.
Yeah, look, I've got a $3,000 PC, and I haven't had issues with Jay's describing. Really, I just haven't. I mean, yeah, there's games that don't perform as well, and yeah, I'm tweaking things, but I'm also running things at higher graphical settings. I'm using ray tracing. I'm playing COD right now, COD Warzone 2 with at extreme settings at 1440p resolution and at 100 FPS. Consoles can't do that. They can't touch that.
Wait. I mean, at some point too, are we here to play
120?
At some point, are we here to play games on these PCs because we like PC gaming as a platform, or do we just are we just fed up with consoles so we play with PCs because they're more powerful?
No,
I think a lot of
That's an
people
interesting
have it
question,
backwards.
Kev. I hear what you're saying there.
No,
I think a lot of people have it backwards. I think a lot of people play on
honestly
PC
believe-
because it runs and looks better. I think
yeah,
that's the right way to look at it.
I play PC because it gives me the flexibility that consoles don't.
Well, let's talk
Like,
about
I-
well,
exactly.
wait a minute. So, but
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I want. I just want to make this like caveat here. Whenever you come on, not just CrossFire or a lot of different gaming podcasts, everybody generally has. Even Kev. Kev goes, my lowly old 2080 Ti, which is what I have too, Kev. By the way. But what I'm saying to you is, there's the masses of PC gamers don't even have a 2080 Ti.
That's
But
what I
2080
said.
Ti is
earlier.
still a beast.
You know, so
Yeah, they
what-
have a
people think that you need to-
1060.
yeah, exactly, Jay. You know what I mean?
According
So a lot,
to Steam.
Every
Now-
couple
now
years.
listen, I used to.
Cheers.
I agree. I agree with BRAP. I used to agree with BRAP. That used to be a point that I used to use. But as the generations grow on, right, and as these consoles progress and these consoles getting stronger, I no longer believe that now, right? There was a point in time. No, let me tell you why. Because the gap between the PC and the console space, when it comes to gamers who are gaming at 60 frames and in 120, it has the flexibility, the same settings that you like to tweak.
Yep.
Guess what? Those consoles, this generation, has those same settings. You can play at your 120, right? And you can play with the 60 frames, and you can play with the VRR
funny.
and all.
It's funny you say that because hold on, no, please let me get him. Can I get up because it's so funny it's so funny he say that because because y'all like pad and numbers because you're like it got the same FOV, same settings, but guess what? Y'all don't even know what type of graphical fidelity y'all really playing at.
We don't care. We don't care.
You know how on PC you can go to your settings and go. Can you go into your console? Hold on, let me finish.
Let's straight,
yo. That want to tinker, right? The only people that want to tinker with that stuff are generally PC gamers.
That's why we're
Let me, you guys. Let's strictly ask this question.
Yeah, because how many of these people on consoles can go into those settings and be like, I want to play this at low texture settings, or I want to play it on medium. They'd be like, yeah, we're playing in 4K, yeah, because all your motherfucking textures set to low and medium.
Right.
But that's not true these days.
How do you know? How do you know?
Well,
no. Here's the thing about it, right? That used to be the case, and that used to be the tagline that us PC gamers used to use, right? That used to be the tagline. This generation, that has changed. The PS5 and the X Series X is not running shit at extra low setting. Let's stop the cap, right? Let's stop it.
Jay.
Let's face it.
Wait, hold on, wait, Jay. What game would you say you can go in and tweak things the way you're saying?
Listen. What it is, it's really becoming a point of trying to justify your purchase. You're trying to justify on why I spent a lot of money on this graphics card and this PC versus why
We're not allowing J-Dub to deduct this smoke. I need you to answer the question.
Jay, look.
On console, can you go and tweak settings from low, medium, high, ultra? Can you do it or not?
You can't.
All right.
Can you go in there and listen? As a console gamer, I don't want to go in there and tweak 1,000 settings.
But if you don't want to tweak those settings, then you're gaming on console.
Let me ask you this. If you just spend $1,600, $2,000, right, on a video card, and then you already spend another $300, $400, $500 on a CPU, and you didn't spend all this money, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, all this money. Yeah. Why the hell would you want to go in and tweak the settings anyway? Wouldn't you just want to play at everything ultra and just leave it there? Why would you want to go and tinker?
Jay,
you just said a minute ago that most PC players aren't playing at them settings.
That's kind of my point. He's making the point, right? That go ahead, BRAP. Go ahead, because
here's my thing. I pay that money because I want that flexibility to tinker. That's why I pay that money.
So Jay, you know what, Jay? Listen, Jay, let me say this much.
You're paying all that money to tinker, where most console gamers don't tinker.
Jay, let me
when I play Call of Duty on my PS5.
Well, hold on.
That's fine. I know I'm getting 120 frames. I know I'm getting my 40p, and I just play and enjoy.
And that's fine. But I'm not doing. I'm not like that. Well, I mean,
I'm not playing at ultra low settings or anything.
That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that people that want to play on PC are wrong either. Like,
No,
I
no,
mean,
but
like,
Brap, Brap,
let
me give an example.
Well,
let me finish.
Go ahead, finish your point, Brap, and I'll give Jay another example.
Yeah, it comes down to like what people want, and this is why, like Jay, you're just not the addressable market for PC gaming. You're not. You're a console guy, and that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just like me, Kev.
My PC only plays PC only games. It doesn't play multiplats.
Okay, well, I play multiplats on PC now, and I do that because for the most part, like 90% of the time, probably more than that, those games are just running better on my PC. I want to play them with the highest graphic fidelity. I want ray tracing. I can use DLSS. If I need to do that, I like that.
So
I like that. That's the experience that I want.
They're doing the exact same thing. They got FSR. They got the same technology. I mean, it's the same.
It's not the same.
Well, Jay, let me give an example. Let me give an example, Brap, real quick. Just a little different than what we're talking about right now. Jay, I had this conversation with a different product about 10 years ago. I couldn't understand. You guys already know I'm an Apple fan. You guys already know it's Apple. You guys know I'm an Apple fan, but I got an iPhone. I've had an iPhone since day one. So I went up to my friend, right? He works with me, and he kept on buying. He would refuse, and he would make a point to refuse. You know what I mean? A lot like some of the PC gamers are very, very adamant about it. He goes, I don't want an Apple. I want a Samsung. I want an Android phone. And it took me years of arguing with him. Jay, it finally came down to this. When you have an Android phone, you can tinker. You can play. It's an open system, right? When you have an iPhone, that, my friend, is it. You got it.
Yep.
It works great. It's smooth as butter, but
that's why I left
limited,
Apple.
You're limited to what Apple allows you to do. No, but for me,
Mooch, you're on point. This was the creation of even Apple versus Windows or Mac OS versus Windows OS to begin with. Steve Wozniak wanted to create an OS that just worked for you and you didn't have to do anything for it. You just push the button and it just worked.
That's right.
That's the whole Apple mindset. That's the whole console mindset.
And that's the console mindset.
And the PC guys are like, give me options. Like where people say PCs are complicated and they're complex and like
they're really
there's too
not.
much going on there.
They're really not.
Right, they're not, but people
really
say
not.
it.
Yeah,
but I feel limited on a console.
Listen,
Console legitimately pisses me off because I can't do what I want to do.
90s.
Oh yeah,
Kev, I don't know how old you are, Kev. I gamed on PC in the 90s. It is like so much more.
When you had to set the jumpers, when you had to set the jumpers on the board and all that.
I remember that. And every time you boot up some software upgrades, changes all your settings, or it fucks up and doesn't want to. I mean,
it can.
Again, as a console,
you want to do that.
Are you willing to?
I'm just trying to be honest, because when you talk to a lot of diehard PC guys, they'll tell you they never have any problems. They'll tell you everything is perfect, and they'll tell you everything's. And I'm here to be honest. As someone who has all the latest of everything, right? I'm just being honest, right? And the fact that my position, just as you know, as a lifestyle and what I do for work, as my career, I have the background to I'm going to be honest.
Man, you don't get to the point you said I'm being honest for 20 damn seconds. Be honest, then.
Jay, I don't know if you gotta say you're honest more than once.
He's trying his best to think of something to say. He's trying his damnness.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell these people, right, that
the console's not perfect either.
If you go the PC route and you spend all this money for it, your experience is gonna be flawless. It's gonna be it's not.
No one's made that claim. But no one's made that claim.
Not 100% of the time. But I do know when I boot up my Xbox. I do know when I boot up my Xbox and when I boot up my PlayStation, I'm ready to play. It's going to work like 95% of the time. When I boot up my PC, I'm ready to podcast or play some games. It may or may I may have to do something extra.
Your PC still work like 90-95%.
I may or may not.
I got to be
Mooch, let me ask you, when's the last time you booted up your PC and you couldn't do your podcast? I'm asking for a friend.
It's been a minute.
When's the last time you tried to boot up your PC?
I mean, come on.
It's happened.
Listen,
we gotta be honest. We gotta be honest.
Wait, Mooch, let me be honest here. Like I own everything, just like Jay. I just spent money on a new PC.
We can be honest today.
I'm going to be honest. I'm in love with Artemis's mom. But look. No, but
Great.
you know, like
Does she love you back?
No.
Look again. I don't think again.
God.
My experience. So someone else's experience might be different on PC. I nod yet. My experience is, for the most part, my PC games are working well. I'm not having issues like where
But you
the
see,
game doesn't
you
work,
say
it
well,
crashes.
but you don't say great. See, that's the difference between us console
Okay.
gamers and
All right.
you PC
Look,
gamers.
okay.
Is that
Okay.
we say that they work
All right.
great. and
Look,
you
since
guys
you
say
want
that
to,
they
you want to
work
argue
well.
semantics. You want to
See,
argue
y'all said
semantics.
the
I'm
James
just
River
saying, hold on.
Revolution for second was great
I'm
like
just
10 years
saying.
ago.
Hold on, we went from honest to just saying. Real quick, I got a couple of. I got super chats here.
It
Shout
comes
out,
down to two things.
Hey,
shout
It
out.
comes down
By the way,
to
shout
two-
out to Strictly. Strictly is absolute. I'm enjoying the show, and I'm enjoying what Strictly's doing in the chat.
Strictly's
too.
comment to
I love Strictly.
He's kind of crazy out here, man. He out here talking about being on. He said I'm being honest about 20 damn times, lying.
Yeah, Strictly.
I'm not lying.
Strictly, did you say
I've been,
you
I've
said
been
you had
PC gaming,
some-
since the '90s. So
Oh yeah, listen, Jay. The thing
Hey,
about it,
so
Jay,
you
is-
know,
I,
Jay,
I
listen,
own
wait,
every
wait a minute.
single
Hold
high-end
on.
PC
What Jay
graphics
is
card every
saying-
time. I mean,
I actually, believe it or not, and Jay has a better card than I do. Strictly and BRAP have better GPUs than I got. But the thing is, I do
And
agree with
CPU,
Jay.
sir.
The reason, because BRAP and I talk all the time, and I talk to Delirium Blades. Shout out to Brian Blades. He says the same thing. He goes, Mooch, why aren't you playing on your PC? I'm like, if I can, sometimes it's just easier for me to strike up the console and play. But you got to remember, that's how I grew up. Right, that's how I grew up. We're a little bit different in age, and that's just the way it is. Jay, we're closer in age than me and Strictly. So Strict has become. And Strict, I remember when you tweeted it out. You said, "Listen, you guys all know and may have followed me because I love and I still love my PS5." But you're like, I'm slowly starting to morph over, especially in the third party world, to PC gaming. So
It's a fact. Look, and I still enjoy like playing on my PlayStation 5 whenever I feel like playing it, because that's what they feel. That's what they also forgetting. Like I can't boot up my PlayStation 5 right goddamn now. Don't get it twisted. I can if I want to, but these motherfuckers up here lying like a motherfucker. They're up here saying I'm being honest or it may mess up this, that, and third. That's y'all goddamn problem. You know what I'm saying? My PC works lovely. You feel me?
I wish I-
See, that's what I
I
want to
have a
hear.
question here too. I have a
PC
question here
works
too.
lovely. I don't want to hear, oh, it works well. Yeah,
These other people, because now y'all getting into semantics till y'all getting fucking smoked.
hey, Strictly,
That's
still
why.
say what you're trying to say. My
Yeah,
PC
yeah.
works better than your
They
PS5.
wanna,
There you go.
because you know that's what they start the doing when they start deflecting. They start getting into semantics. Well, you said it works well and not great. It don't matter.
I mean,
Your ass getting
listen,
smoked on the
listen,
side,
Strictly,
man.
look,
So then you gonna get the semantics. That's that
Hey,
fade.
listen,
Strictly,
shout-
this is the reality.
you
This is
guys
the
are the ones
reality.
who created it, so
yo,
Well,
shout
shout
out.
out platform.
Hey, Mooch, it goes back right to trying to justify your purchase, right? You want if I spend $3,000 on a PC,
Yes.
that PC better give me $3,000 worth of
Yes.
value more than somebody who spent $299, $399,
That's
right?
right, that's
and
right.
let's just face it, it is what it is. It is what it is.
So now we're getting into value. So now we're getting the value. So now we're getting the value,
Now-
right?
now we
Because
get
that's
the
exactly
value straight.
right. I mean, you see what I mean? You see how they start. You see how they start pushing. You see how they start pushing the goalposts because they be getting smoked for a whole ass hour.
Hey,
They be
you know
getting.
what?
Hold on.
You know what? Hey,
Let me
Go
chime
ahead,
in on
P-Rock.
this one, because really console is all about the value. Because
Exactly.
go ahead, Strictly try to build a good PC at $500. You
Oh,
can't.
you can't. You cannot. You will not hear me make that argument. But the point.
But that's the whole point, right? So
No. That wasn't the point. He brought up value after a whole ass hour and a half to talk about PC. You talk about that's the point.
But I think what Jada's trying to say is
it becomes a justification of a
Hold on,
purchase.
let P-Rock.
Listen,
Let
what-
P-Rock
I mean, the
finish.
only thing that needs to be justified is why
Hold on,
buy a PS5.
Kev, hold on.
It really comes out this, right? You buy a
Absolutely, agree.
console, you're generally gonna get a product that's for its price, runs well, generally gets tier support, got first party support, and then ultimately what you would call it, the knockback is we're the consumers that have to ask the developers, are you gonna have performance mode? Are you gonna have 4K ray tracing? We have to ask those questions, and sometimes the developer goes, no, you're not gonna have it. Yes, you might, or no, your game is locked at 30.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. PC gamers
Yeah.
don't have that problem, but
Yes.
on their side,
And this is why I play on
they
PC.
got their own
Well,
cons.
some.
They're on there, but they got their own cons. They got to pay more money. If something
Absolutely.
goes wrong, they generally have to figure it out on their own. They got to tinker and get the right settings. So it depends on what you do.
Yo,
You know what I'm
P-Rock's
saying?
not. Listen, P-Rock's not
Me
wrong, and
personally-
everybody knows that has a gaming. Because I just played Warzone 2.
A lot of people
with
won't admit
Blades.
it.
I played with Blades. I played with BRAP. My 2080 Ti cannot have the same settings that Delirium Blades has with his 4090. So we sat there, and I'm not joking, we legitimately sat, before we played Warzone 2, we sat there for almost 30 minutes, tweaking the settings, 25 minutes, tweaking the settings to get the best optimized viewing and playing.
That sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Well,
dude.
listen, it wasn't. No, listen.
Listen, for 30 minutes when I just want to play a fucking game.
So this is why J-Dub.
I don't want to do that.
But this is why I think J-Dub is trying to say. But the problem is J-Dub. For some people, that's not an issue. Some people are willing to do that to get what they really want.
Period.
Because, like I said, on console, if let's say Gotham Knights. You're not playing it at 60. It doesn't matter what you do. That's it.
I want to know why gamers for 30 minutes with presets. The game has
for some gamers, that's not
automatic center settings for you.
Yeah. So for some gamers, they rather deal with a platform that they tinker, but at least they get to ultimately do what they want. Than to be told, play at 30 and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you know what? To P-Rock's point,
for some gamers,
because it sounds like, oh no, this is a lot of work. But on PC, maybe you're okay with playing at 60. The only way that I'm playing at 60 if I'm forced to play at 60. Because if not, I'm playing at 144 because I can on PC. I have the rig that I can.
Right.
So when I'm tweaking my settings, I'm tweaking my settings for the experience that I want. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's the benefit of PC gaming. But
it's just the mindset of the gamer.
Right.
Of course.
You want something that just works all the time, but at the cost of you don't have as much control as you do, but it works every time.
And playing at that flipbook 60 FPS, no thanks.
You know.
Shout out to Salty. He talking about seems like a lot of PC games launch broken. Motherfucker, that's every game nowadays.
Salty, list me the games. List me the games in the chat that launch broken on PC. List them all.
Don't say it.
The launch broken just on PC. Besides Callisto that came out today.
There's console games that
don't you do it. You know I like you. Don't you do it.
You see, what's strict, yo, it's so fun. So listen,
there's a lot of games that lost busted on consoles.
Hold on a second, I got some super chats. I want to finish up here, and then I want to do a speed round with you. Believe it or not, guys, we do have another 9 topics in only about 35 minutes to do it.
Yeah, Mooch, you never get through 9 topics.
I don't, but I try my damnedest. I
could have told you, hey, Mooch, in reality, it's going to be this topic, this time.
I knew it. Yeah,
all this other shit we ain't talking about.
Listen, but P-Rock, if you go back and look at it, I'm just trying to get to that number 2 I got because I want to hear what you got to say on it. You know what I mean?
You can't bring all these PC guys on here and not know this was going to happen.
Listen, this is a good, but to be honest with you, though.
Yeah, you brought in a sea of PC guys.
Yeah, but even if you don't listen, you say that, but let me tell you something right now. Strictly, I know he's a PC. He enjoys his PC. BRAP, I know he enjoys his PC. Merc, I know he enjoys it. Kev, I know. Well, Kev's probably the only one, but I will also tell you that when I turn on my PS5, I see Strictly Gaming on there. I see BRAP on there. I see everybody on there. So they still game on their consoles.
I haven't seen BRAP.
I don't own a console.
I still see everybody. Real quick, I see Cloaked Honest out there. He says, as a child, we wanted our favorite games to have a sequel, but we heard this is when I was talking about Nintendo Power, I believe. He said, we heard that the games didn't make enough money for a sequel, and we had no clue why. Cloak, that's what I'm talking about. We had all this hope, this admiration and love for a game or a genre, and then the game just never appeared, and we had to wait for 15 new episodes of Nintendo Power to come out to find out our dreams were crushed. Shout out to Smokes 901 here. He goes to P-Rock.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
You know what I'm saying, P-Rock? I remember reading that. I was like, what? It got canceled? You've been promising
I'm going to say, thank God for the internet, because you are right.
Shit.
You didn't learn till like 3 years.
3 years you found out that
right?
shit.
Exactly. Like, what?
That shit ain't coming out anymore. You're like, what?
Oh, shit, it's canceled.
Smokes has got something here for P-Rock, though. He says, sup, Mooch? He goes, P-Rock gave us an assignment this week. I couldn't do it. Microsoft Showcase has been dog shit, he says. Anyway, why are PC gamers always looking for approval and validation? That's some small PP energy. Shout out to Smokes 901. They aren't looking for that, I don't think, Smokes. I think
they're not looking for that, bro.
PC gamers on Twitter.
Listen,
PC gamers on Twitter are like the dudes that buy Lamborghinis and pull up in Walmart.
Why
are you here? This is not your store.
A lot of them are definitely annoying.
Shop here.
A lot of them, I will agree.
A lot of Lambo with a handicap sign parked in front of
Both
Walmart.
ways, dude.
You know what you really want. You want
Hey, look, a lot of them are definitely annoying as fuck. But I'm parking a handicap because I'm trying to get to the store quicker than you to grab that PlayStation 5 and get back to my car.
That was funny as hell.
They park. I did a little mooches, you know.
No, that was good.
Got a whole Lambo parked in 7-Eleven in the hood. Like, wait, what?
That's got. I'm gonna clip that myself. That was good shit.
Real estate.
I ain't gonna lie.
Straight up.
So P-Rock, I got you on the hot seat. Let's go to you one more time here. I'm gonna switch subjects real quick here. So Microsoft, this is all allegedly, right? We've only got rumors or reports. There's nothing in front of our face. There's nobody here that's giving me a document. But Microsoft is supposedly, and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it, guys, because I promised you we're not gonna harp on this that much. Microsoft will offer a 10-year Call of Duty licensing agreement with Sony, according to reports. Just curious, P-Rock, where are you right now on that situation? Do you think that myself personally, real quick, and then I want to hear you, I don't think them going from 3 to 10 is actually why Sony was putting their foot down on not wanting this deal to go through, but I want to hear what you got to say.
So I'm going to make it real quick because I know we're doing a quick fire round.
No, go ahead.
So Sony's going to say no, and I'm going to tell you, this is the reason why. It's all about, would any of us allow somebody to take over a revenue stream that goes into our pocket? Like you're doing something or you're dealing with somebody and they're putting money in our pocket, then somebody comes out of nowhere and I'm gonna control that.
Right.
Will we allow that to happen? No, none of us will allow that to happen. There's no way. And I don't care if they come, well, how about we make this deal? Look, there's no deal. The way things are, I'm fine. I'm fine the way things are.
Right.
Ultimately, people got to remember this. Even if Microsoft offered 20 years, 30 years of
Doesn't
Call
matter.
of Duty,
Right.
You got to remember, if they own Activision, they now have leverage to talk to Sony in terms of royalties.
Yep.
They can say, hey, Sony, yeah, we're going to leave Call of Duty, but this whole 30% royalty shit that you got going on, no, not for this game. We're not going to just come out with 70. No, we want 85, and you get 15. What do you say? At this point, Sony has no choice but to be like, well, fuck, if we say no, Microsoft could go back out there. See, guys, we told you. We told you. Yep. We offered it. And they're like, and Sony can't come out and say, but they're only going to give us 30. Sony's trying to prevent that because they know they don't want to give Microsoft that leverage to influence that annual money they get for money transactions.
Yep.
Microsoft
Sony, I want dollar Todd.
They want that 30%. Yeah. They're happy with that 30% from Activision. Activision could never step up to Sony with that type of deal because they don't have a platform on their own. So Microsoft, Activision has no choice but to pay that 30% because they don't have a console of their own. But Microsoft's different; they have their own console. They support PC, so they will be willing to tell Sony, "Yo, yeah, you can have Call of Duty, but 15% royalty. We're not paying this whole 70. You're not getting the whole 30. We want 85%. Especially we're putting on Game Pass. We need as much money as we can get.
Yep.
So 85-15 deal." Sony's trying to prevent that nonsense. That's really what all it is.
That's all it really comes down to.
That's all it comes down to. They want Microsoft with no royalty control. That's it. That's
See,
the what.
I do agree with P-Rock on that. J-Dub, I got to go to you because everybody's going to want to hear your opinion on this. Jay, do you agree with what P-Rock's saying? Do you think that it doesn't matter if they order 10 years, they offer 20 years, and lunch every single day? It doesn't matter what they offer. Sony's not going to come to the table with this. I don't think it's a difference if it's 3 or 10.
Absolutely. P-Rock was, that it is what it is. It's all about money. People don't realize how much revenue that brings in for Sony from microtransactions and stuff like that. Even with the 30% or whatever, it's a stream of revenue. They have that tallied up for the next 5, 6, 7 years or however much that they make or whatever, and it is what it is. And they really have no incentive to say, okay, we're good. They have no incentive for that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Even if Microsoft said, hey, it's going to stay perpetually, they have no incentive to do that. They're competitors. They're competing in the same gaming space. Why would you help your competitors?
Yeah. No, does anybody in the panel disagree with that? Does anybody see this happening?
I'm just sick and tired of hearing about it.
The thing about it,
honestly, I don't care anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't give
do it.
I got news.
Either give them the fucking company or don't. I don't give a
why? I don't know why we have to wait till the middle of next year. I don't get that.
It's just
what's going to change?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, nothing's going to fucking change. The only thing that's going to change is if what Sony's going to get, what Xbox is going to gonna.
No, Kev,
own
say that
or
again. You
whatever.
said, why is the
You know?
CMA protecting Sony? The same reason the media is protecting Xbox. I have no idea.
They
I
are?
can't figure it out.
Absolutely.
I can't figure it out
Absolutely.
for the life of me.
I'm gonna say this.
Well, I mean,
Microsoft-
it's not their.
I don't think it's
you know,
And I'm saying, like,
Sony,
honestly,
I
you
think
said,
people-
I don't see the stories.
I
So
would say-
I'd like to see them because most of what I see is just, CMA is basically doing this and what they're doing for Sony, this, that. That's what comes up on my timeline. But algorithms, they probably, it's probably some of the algorithms.
Well, that's the thing. CMA shouldn't even have any involvement with that, with Sony. Whatever fuck happens with Sony. Like, honestly, I mean, it doesn't, for them. It shouldn't fucking matter. For them.
Well, they're
To us,
Well, but that-
being PlayStation gamers,
It does matter
yes,
to CMA. That's
does
part of the
matter.
regulatory process.
Yeah.
It matters. It's on the behalf of gamers. That's who they're.
Well, it's
so
it's on the behalf of competition, which includes consumers,
exactly.
even Sony,
Absolutely.
and other companies, and
Absolutely.
future competition.
On behalf of gamers, put COD on Game Pass. Well, all of Activision's games, Blizzard's too. I want Diablo.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I could
Yeah,
care
but-
less
yeah,
if the
but
deal goes through. It doesn't
I
affect
don't-
me either way.
Yeah,
It
it
doesn't-
doesn't.
We
it
keep the games out of the way.
it
But
doesn't really.
here's the thing, right? This is what you
Go
don't
ahead, Mark.
understand, right? It sounds good now,
Yep.
right? In that you can put it on Game Pass. Hey, Game Pass is only $10. I think it's a great service, right? But let's say after the deal is done, just theoretically, right? Just theoretically, what if Microsoft changes that service to $60, $70 a month, right? Will that same consumer have that mindset? Like, damn, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I mean,
Probably.
And I
Because
think
of
that's
the-
what these
I
advertisers
have some
my
Jack
God, every
Sparrow
year,
in
so
me.
it still doesn't
If
affect
they do
me.
that- I have some Jack Sparrow in me. If they do something like that, they're gonna fuck around and find out. So,
But what I'm saying is that's what these advocacy groups. That's what they do. They try to make sure that stuff like that don't happen. So that's why they
Doesn't
scrutinize.
happen, right.
Honestly, I think the deal is going to go through,
makes
right? But they are being. This is people don't understand why they're scrutinizing everything. They're doing that for a purpose,
Right.
Right. If the deal is going to go through, it's going to go through. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think the fanboy mentality is like this is a Sony and CMA in the UK against Microsoft with you guys know the FTC is in the United States, and even they are calling to have this scrutinized deal as well. So it's not just
They
everybody's
need to
ganging
come
up on
to my
Microsoft.
PlayStation.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah,
I gotta agree with.
$70 billion deal. This is not a small $3 billion. This is huge.
Well,
Well, I
there's
mean,
also,
Jay-
there's also things that FTC,
And it's the biggest IP out there, so, I mean-
that we're
I
not
care
seeing.
less about
There's a lot
Call
of
of
things
Duty.
that
Just
they're
put the
probably
rest of it.
seeing
Put
in
Blizzard's
that.
games on there, and I'm happy.
Well, listen,
They-
it
they
is
probably have-
no
they
matter
probably
what
see the
Microsoft or
content.
anybody says, it is. Yeah, right now, I know Microsoft like to
You
say
know what-
it's really about mobile or whatever. It's like, come on, stop.
So
Stop.
let me say this. Let me say
Mobile's
this.
the largest platform out there. It probably is mobile.
I
Well,
think
if
it's
that was
about.
the case,
I think it's
if that's
really
the
about
case,
mobile.
They would
for
get out. They would get out of the
Microsoft,
console
too.
space and then just do the mobile thing, but they won't, right?
No,
Why don't they do
wanna
both?
do-
So
They,
you
they want
point.
to do both.
That's
They're
yeah.
trying to be
Yeah,
everywhere.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
gotta
All
agree.
the
So
money.
maybe I'm selfish, as you guys could tell every single week in and week out. You guys see, I always play Call of Duty, always show footage. It's one of my favorite games, one of my favorite franchises. Now, hear me out real quick. I'm going to
Is
say
this you play?
something. Yes, I'm going to say that there's something that I, honest to God, mean, and I don't. It really bothers me is that you see what Gears has turned into. We had a very large discussion tonight about what's happened with Halo. And when people sit there and say time in and time out on the Twitter articles, YouTube, that Microsoft's going to come in and save Activision, and I want to say, with
From
what
what?
with what
Absolutely
proof
not.
could you ever prove that to me with at all? This game
Well,
right
Mooch,
now,
what's the context of
stop
save,
from all
though?
like the
What does that
sexual
mean?
misconduct stuff?
right?
Is that the sexual
Well, yeah,
misconduct?
what is
side?
it
Is that what
actually
they're
mean?
I
referring
think
to?
I think they mean the whole thing, BRAP. The games,
Well, what's
the
what is that
services,
though?
the devs,
Well, the games are
sexual
the
misconduct,
games are
everything,
fine.
everything.
The games are fine.
Well, they're not fine.
But
The games
They're
are
not
fine.
fine.
Yeah.
the
Because
games are fine. I mean, COD is doing
Modern
well.
Warfare
You still
2
play Call of Duty
Modern Warfare 2
aren't you, Mooch?
Yes, Modern Warfare 2 didn't launch like great. It had its problems. Warzone 2's
I
got a
loved it
ton
a
of
lot.
Okay, Mooch.
bugs.
Okay, wait.
If Call of Duty goes to
Mooch,
Microsoft,
outside-
it's a
outside-
wrap.
Outside the technical stuff, outside the technical stuff, right, Mooch?
Yeah.
The game sold like
I didn't say it didn't
gangbusters.
sell well, but
Yeah.
P-Rock
Yeah,
already,
yeah.
That's what I'm
but
saying,
P-Rock
that's-
already said that
but-
earlier, where these games always sell well. They're the annual releases. They all, like Madden sells well, and that game has problems. Look at NBA 2K. Even the biggest fans tell you beat money on
So
here
that's what I'm
right
saying,
now.
like,
He'll
so
tell you that they
are
have
they
the biggest
saying-
problems in the
so-
world, but they still
So
buy
that's what I'm
them.
asking.
Go
So
ahead.
that's what I'm asking for context. Are people saying that Microsoft's going to make the game perform better, or are they saying that the issues at the human relations?
It's going to get worse than what it is now.
I
If Call of Duty goes to Microsoft, I mean, it's bad now, but it's going to be
It's gonna get
extremely worse.
I don't know if
I
I
agree.
don't know if
I don't
I'm not
think-
willing to
I
make that
don't. I
leap.
mean, look at
I'm
what
not willing to
Microsoft
make
But look
that
at
did
the
leap
with
of
track.
their own
faith
Look
just
at,
yet.
but look at the
game.
track record.
If you can't handle your own
I
flagship
can
game,
kinda
what
see
makes
where
you
you guys
think
are
you're going to
coming from on that.
increase?
No, so this is my thing.
I'm
So
not willing
when
to
it
make
comes-
that leap
when
of
it comes-
faith yet.
Yeah, when it comes to Bethesda and Activision, I don't think Microsoft is going to do anything to make the things worse. Because I think at this point, the only thing Microsoft can do for these two publishers that they bought is just provide them more money. And that's
Exactly.
it. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
pretty
They
much.
don't. Microsoft proper publisher, the actual proper publisher, they don't have the skills, talent. Hell, do you see how they're messing up their own games? What the hell they're
P-Rock,
going to do
P-Rock,
to help
can I-
Bethesda and
P-Rock,
Activision?
P-Rock,
They got-
can I prove to you how it could get worse though? 343 was a company that is internal to Xbox, right? I understand that, but you have people leaving. If the people at Activision see that the game
People leave all the
and
time,
quality,
Mooch.
yeah, but if they leave at the rapid rate like they are at 343, when we're seeing what's happening to Halo, that could
But
happen.
why are those people
Yeah, but there's a
leaving, though?
difference.
That
There's a
can
difference
happen
between
with
the
Call of
two.
Duty.
Because
But
the
why are those
difference
people
is-
leaving, Mooch?
No. But there's a difference. The difference is Activision will still have their own publisher. Like I said, it will literally be no change for them.
Not right
except
away.
They have more money.
Not right away.
What?
I'm talking about 2 or
No,
3
like-
iterations
Are you
down the
talking
road.
about like how
No, as
Bethesda
long
is
as-
still
What's
If,
Like,
if
then
why-
Microsoft, if Microsoft treats Activision the same way they treat Bethesda, meaning they are self-control,
Right.
they do their own thing. Meaning
Right.
the only thing we do is just we'll have one guy in the mailroom deliver you a check once a month or whatever, and he walks away.
Yeah.
That's about as much interaction you'll get from us and Microsoft.
Mhm.
That means whether they got bought by Microsoft or not, that they if Activision fails, then they would have fell on their own with or without Microsoft. That's what I'm trying to say. Because the only thing
Yeah, I
Microsoft's going
agree
to do
with
is
But
the
P-Rock,
the only thing
P-Rock,
Microsoft's going to do
P-Rock,
is just give
P-Rock,
them more
when
money.
P-Rock, when you are now supported by Microsoft, okay, we're already seeing this with Bethesda. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, guys. Bethesda, I was told last year by everybody that came on this channel, Mooch, you don't understand. When Bethesda says they're going to have a game, then they announce it and they launch it like 6 months later. They announced they were going to have Starfield out 11/11/22. We don't even have a date next year.
All right.
Yep.
So
So
what
let
I'm
me-
saying to you is
Listen.
already, but hold on, P-Rock, you're already seeing listen, P-Rock, if me and you open a pizzeria, okay? We open the heart, the soul, the energy we have to keep the lights on, put the food on the table for our families, everything else. All of a sudden, Microsoft buys us. I go, yo, P-Rock, the rent's paid for, the electric's all set, everything's good. I don't care if this pizza sits cold a little longer. You don't care either. The ambition, that drive is gone. You start to lose it slowly. It doesn't happen overnight. No, you're not going to see the problem tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I agree.
BRAP likes to have all the evidence
Mooch,
always. BRAP, you
Well,
like to have
let
all
me-
your evidence in
let-
front of you.
let
Sometimes
me-
it takes years to happen.
So-
And we're
so
seeing it
where's-
already
Well,
with
I
Bethesda.
because
Let me bring a
that's
different
my
context
point.
in.
I don't think it's worth putting a lot of like what ifs because we don't know. And if you're using
Wait,
Bethesda,
okay, I agree with you, BRAP.
Wait, let me bring a
BRAP,
different context to that.
But
We
BRAP,
use
if you
Bethesda.
agree with that, the what ifs, that's fine. Then we got to stop with the what ifs. It's going to get better too, because we don't know that either.
Well, I
Agree
mean,
with that.
Mooch,
I agree
mean,
with that.
but like, look, I mean, look, I wouldn't
Halo,
disagree with that. Like,
Halo.
I made the comment, and I got people got upset at me, and they're like, "Oh, Microsoft's best place to work," and I was like, "You guys should take this list with a grain of salt from an
Right,
HR perspective." But yeah, I'm not saying that Microsoft's gonna come in there and they're gonna clean house and they're gonna make all the
No, I know that. Yeah, I know, yeah.
the cultural issues go away. But I don't. The way they're handling Bethesda and at least from the way they're talking about Activision, it's kind of like, hey, look, Activision's gonna be able to do their thing. They're gonna be able to operate as they would as the way
Right.
Bethesda is, and that's it. So I think based on that, like I don't think that like Microsoft's gonna kill Activision. I've seen people say
Not
that.
kill
They're-
it.
to me,
No.
or
Let me bring
that
a
the
perspective
games
for
are
Bethesda.
progressive getting worse because they're owned by Microsoft. Now I don't see that. If it happened, I'd be surprised, but I just don't see that happening. And I think one delay from Bethesda isn't an indicator of what's to happen in the future. I mean, they've delivered other games. Bethesda, is a publishing arm too.
Right.
and they have a bunch of other studios. They've delivered other games that have done very well, or not done very well. So I just caution the knee-jerk reaction of
I'm just saying the jury's out, BRAP. You know, the jury's out. We have to wait and see. This isn't something that's going to happen right away. But no, P-Rock, go ahead. You said you had another example.
Let me bring a perspective using with your Bethesda scenario, right? Bethesda before was its own company, and just like we spoke earlier with Callisto Protocol, sometimes the bean counter says this game's gonna come out, and we all know Bethesda games are Bugthesda. We already know they came out, you know, a lot of issues, a lot of bugs. Some of them are historical that you know that will be remembered to the end of time. They're not that company no more. Microsoft could be like, if it's not ready, don't worry about it. We got you. We got the money. Delay it for a year.
But the modders will fix it.
What?
But the modders will fix it.
You know what I'm saying? No, but now we don't have to. We don't have
modders.
I'm saying, but this could be the first step into we could change the culture of Bethesda. If you need more time, it's you're no longer put in a position where your game is relying for your company.
P-Rock.
You are Xbox.
Hold on, wait. I want to take P-Rock. P-Rock, listen, you do this all the time on your channel. I'll do it here. I'm going to extend the olive branch out. When we see Starfield come out, you got to come back on the show, and we'll see how it. And I'm not putting by the way.
If that game is still bugged,
right? Holy shit! That's what I'm saying. And guess what? And my only evidence to you, is Halo. That game was supposed to come out November 2020. We got it November 2021, and here we are past November 2022, and it's dead.
No, but here's the thing. But the thing is, Halo falls under Xbox Pro. That's why I said Microsoft as a publisher, they got nothing to offer to nobody. So the games I see that are part of proper Microsoft publisher is like Halo, Gears, Hellblade, all those games. Bethesda, I see them guys still falling under the direction of ZeniMax, really.
Right.
They're also under separate LLC, by the way.
I'll be honest. In my mind,
I hope you guys are right.
In my mind, if I was Phil Spencer, I would eventually take the best talents of ZeniMax and Activision. If the Activision deal goes through, I'm gonna be like, listen, I'm gonna pay you guys more. You guys are not in charge of all publishing for Xbox because you guys clearly know what the hell you're doing. My guys, you guys are fired.
What about the modders?
That's what I would do. I would eventually promote Activision and Bethesda publishing into Xbox publishing, and those are the new publishers. And
Mooch.
And by the way, Todd Howard fix Halo. You guys,
Todd Howard fix Halo. That kind of scares me a little bit. What's interesting, a lot of people don't talk about this. We mentioned this on BRAP, which goes live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Shameless plug.
People still watch that show?
Wow. Yeah, your mom watches it every night on this. Especially anyhow. No, especially it's interesting. Like a lot of people don't talk about this. Like the one thing that from a I guess from a when you think about intellectual properties and you look at what Activision does, is not by any stretch of the imagination easy to do from a software development standpoint, to crank out and be a machine, to have money come in, money go out, and to crank these games out. It's not easy at all.
No,
like it's not many publishers can replicate that. Activision might be the only one that can do it, but
running a game as a service game.
Yeah, but I think there's exactly. I think there's something to be said for one thing that Activision could do with Microsoft, that we see this with Sony, kind of leveraging of talent. Activision could help Microsoft provide that blueprint of figuring out how to put games in at a regular pace into Game Pass by putting these games that are because that's the thing with Game Pass. Like it needs content on a regular basis. We're talking about Netflix, or Game Pass is always compared to Netflix. And what's the thing about Netflix? Like Netflix needs to have content to keep people coming back to it, to keep people excited, to get engagement numbers.
But that's the problem.
That's not easy to do it because it's been cranked out.
Brad, the one thing we always talk about, because we go past that so fast, they need the content so quickly, so fast to keep the customers in the seats that the quality is diminished rapidly. You can ask Dark Optimus. He told us that on this show years ago. He's like, what's happening right now at Netflix is they're just having a ton of people come in. They're like, have you ever shot a movie before? No. Good. Here's a camera. Make a movie. Okay, great. Because that's why every time you turn on Netflix, there's a new show.
Right? But now they've kind of dialed back. Actually have started to create some actually good content.
Let's say decent. Let's say decent.
decent.
Yeah,
I
nothing
mean,
on the Emmys
Wednesday
yet.
show was actually pretty good.
Right.
The Wednesday show was pretty good. Stranger Things has been really good. You know,
Little long in the
they've kind
tooth,
of
but
dialed it
yeah.
back.
Ozark.
They kind of dialed it
Ozark
back
was
and
good, yes.
made a a difference in that.
But what's
So, I
funny
mean,
though,
yeah,
what's funny is you guys are all numbers guys. Dark is BRAP definitely is a numbers guy. If you look at everything that's been on Netflix in the past 3 years, we just named 4 decent ones. Maybe some that were good, right? So 4 out of a million. Not great. Not great.
Right. But I mean,
Games,
they're starting to. They're starting to though.
Let's
they're,
hope.
They're getting
Again,
to
let's
that
hope.
point.
But Mooch, I think that's. But my
yeah.
point is, I think Activision could bring that knowledge, that expertise per se.
Yes, they can.
And I think that that maybe or maybe not, it pays dividends. But my point is, my overall point is, I don't think Microsoft's going to fuck with the Activision formula. I think they would be stupid to do that. If Phil did that, if Phil or Microsoft messed with Activision and got in their way, that is just bad. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're smarter than that. I hope they would, considering they have big, 6-figure salaries. But All
right, so let me do this real quick.
I've been wrong before.
It's almost time, but I want to go. I have a couple more topics here. I generally want to get everyone's take. If somebody really wants to chime in. I'm just going to randomly pick here on the panel, ask a question. We'll go to the next one. Actually, I got a couple super chats here. Let me just answer these really quick because they're great. The great Sir X-Man, he says, Sir X-Man, I'm not sure what you mean by this. He says, how come CrossFire only comes when I'm on the show? You mean when you're not on the show? There's been a lot of Crossfire tonight. I got news for you. I've been ducking and dodging bullets all night from my own studio. It's been great. Cloaked Onyx says, I don't understand the mobile stance from Xbox. Microsoft Xbox tried the mobile market almost 10 years ago with the Windows 8 phone. So, I mean, that's something that I think Kev was touching on.
Well, in the mobile market, the money is in the software. They put out hardware, and they tried to sell you Windows on a phone. That doesn't make sense. Surface, I believe, is actually still doing well because they remarketed it out as a laptop. But I think them selling mobile games will actually do probably pretty well for them.
Oh yeah, mobile games
absolutely.
would be absolutely fantastic for them.
I thought
mobile games.
I thought it was
not
the
hardware.
majority of their money back from the Activision deal.
Right.
Yeah, I believe it.
Right. Yeah, the whole King deal is a big thing for them. That's why they don't want to let this. They don't want to let this go.
It's completely huge.
I thought it was
It's bigger than
crazy.
Call of Duty.
I thought it was crazy when Apple was going to put their big toe into the gaming market. But look at what the games that they put on their phones, dedicated to working on phones only, and it worked for them. They're making a fortune on that.
There's a reason why they don't care about this Call of Duty. You can they can't say Call of Duty forever, but they might as well because they're looking for that mobile money. That's where the money's at. That's where the most of the money is spent in gaming in general is in on these apps on iOS, on Android.
Kev, like Candy Crush makes Call of Duty look like fucking broke.
Exactly. Exactly. King is the big deal here. Not
King is
COD.
the big.
But to gamers. Well, oh my God, COD. I care more about the Blizzard stuff than I do COD. You do what the hell you want to with COD.
I care about.
I want the Blizzard stuff on Steam, and I want it for $1.
Look, I think Kev agreed with me that the big play here for Microsoft's mobile, because mobile, think about this, we tend to think more US centric about gaming, and there's a market out there in Asia, Southeast Asia, that doesn't have access to consoles or they can't get consoles, but they have access to phones. And so there you go. There's Game Pass, there's King, Candy Crush.
Cloud.
This is a way for Microsoft to get people into the ecosystem. And
when you start talking about gaming globally also, this is where you see Microsoft's big push at, because globally console isn't king. It's king in wealthy countries. The UK,
exactly.
Throughout Europe, Canada, the US, Australia. When you start going other places, that's when you start seeing the PCs that people start talking crap about, those low-end PCs, and places in Central America and places in Asia. Mobile does really
South
well
America,
there. Yes. Places where people aren't as wealthy. Africa, PC is huge in Africa. So is mobile.
And those are kind of those are untapped markets for Microsoft where they can make tremendous inroads. You got to remember, they're a publicly traded company. They want to make money. They're looking at this. How can we generate more revenue and grow our gaming business? And those are, and Game Pass is that avenue for them. And this deal fuels that avenue for them to get into those markets and position themselves to get people into that that Game Pass ecosystem. I mean, very much
Exactly.
it's very much a similar approach to Windows.
Yo,
getting Windows.
shout out to
It's one of those
everybody.
things.
Freaking Mooch, man. You're playing this game, dude, and I'm watching you. You're like shooting at shit, and then all of a sudden you see a guy around the corner, and you shoot him, and you kill him, and then you die right afterwards.
Well,
I'm
dude,
just
a lot of times when I'm gaming and getting this footage, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I got the entire family in my ear being like, "Dad, dinner's ready. We got to eat." And I'm like,
Yes.
"I'm coming. I'll be right there." I'm like, "I'll be right there. I'm just getting some more footage." Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
that's why I
Oh
stopped
yeah, he's getting
streaming.
footage. He's getting
I
footage.
was streaming because I was getting the
He's
same
getting
thing.
footage.
Going crazy, man. Going crazy.
Yo, I love. Honestly,
I
I
got
love this game, dude. I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Shout out to TrueWiddy though. He says with the FTC planning a lawsuit, the deal may fall. TrueWiddy comes back. He says Phil said ABK will answer to him after the deal. That is, I do remember seeing that. TrueWiddy did make a point to that. Phil would be he would be their go-to because, assumingly, right, Brad?
Hey, Bobby's getting that night
Praise
parachute,
Phil,
man.
give me $1 wow. Praise Phil, $1 wow. Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Bring
It's
back
Kev,
StarCraft.
Kev, tell me how it's $1. My Game Pass.
StarCraft.
My
Is
Game
that
Pass.
still a thing, Kev?
Listen,
Before,
my
man.
Game Pass runs out December 20th or something like that. So if anyone wants to mooch and hook me up with a 12-month, that'd be great.
Hey,
Otherwise,
Mooch.
otherwise Kev, let me
Mooch,
know
what
how
you
do,
do,
how do I get my
and
dollar deal back?
every month, don't let it auto renew.
I don't have
Wait
one
for it
already.
to come back around.
Yep.
Do it manually. They will every time.
Mooch.
Like you might have to wait a day or two, but every time they charge you $1
Wait,
again.
so let me ask you a question.
I
real quick.
haven't
So
paid
wait,
full price for Game
so wait,
Pass in like
let me ask
2
Kev.
years.
Kev used to be a mooch in training. Now he's not. Now he's the president. Kev, real quick. So my
I love
ultimate
that.
right. My ultimate runs out December 20th. Do I go buy a card at GameStop and put the card on there for the 12 months and just let the GameStop just lapse?
I would let it. I honestly, I do the month to month through Xbox.com, and I let it lapse every time. As soon as it lapses, come right back and pay $1.
For a
It'll
month?
only
How long
ask
do you
for
get
$1.
though?
Well,
But how's
you're gonna miss like what?
You do it
day
every
or two?
month. Do it every month.
You know.
Oh,
Hey,
damn.
might as well do
Oh,
that.
wow. So
That's
you're
a lot.
stacking, you're stacking those
Hey.
dollar deals.
Well, he's not stacking.
I'm-
It sounds like he's just doing it
Well,
month
no,
to month.
no. I'm saying
Yeah, I'm just
he's
doing
letting it
month to month.
expire, but he's stacking each time it expires. Like he's
Right.
gaming the system.
I don't
That's,
think
that's
hey,
actually brilliant.
J-Dub, I don't think I'm motivated to do as much as Kev's doing a lot of work every month. He's got reminders on his
No,
phone.
I like that, Kev.
Exactly.
You know,
I can't be bothered.
Hey,
with it.
Mooch.
I like it, Kev. I
Microsoft
love it. I
probably
love it.
heard
But
Kev,
You
and
have
it's
to
probably
understand,
gonna
I'm a
charge
key
him more.
pass. So yes.
Hey, Mooch.
yes.
Hey, Mooch, real quick, did you know that Game Pass solves world hunger?
I
Just
heard
throw
that.
out there.
Oh, man.
I heard
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Game Pass to make the dick 4 inches bigger. You heard it here first.
a couple sites are running with
Solve
that.
world hunger.
Yeah.
Shout out to
I've got a question.
Magnum Visual says, "Oh, hold on, we had a question. My apologies."
Yeah, I got a question,
Go
right?
ahead,
And I
Jay.
don't think anybody ever really talks about this. But what happens if this deal, even though the slight chance, what happens if this deal doesn't go through? Then what?
That's
Where does
So
that
keep
leave?
doing what I'm doing because
What-
it's on
That's a
PC regardless.
whole, like I said, that's a whole.
if that
podcast
happens,
in
Jay,
of
I'm taking a
itself.
week off from work and hanging out
That's
online.
one topic. That's
Yeah,
just
because the
one
song
topic.
on
Microsoft's
Twitter is
gotta
going to be
pay Bob.
amazing.
I'm taking a sabbatical from Twitter.
Microsoft's got to pay Bobby Kotick
Yeah,
$9
get your
million.
popcorn.
If
You
it
get
doesn't
your
go
popcorn
through,
and have fun.
What do you
I'm
think,
on
Strick?
Twitter the whole day. I'm
Yo,
on Twitter the whole day.
Strick,
It's gonna be
I
gold.
can see that,
Strick.
Strick. I can see
Salty.
that, Strick.
No,
I can see that, Strick. Right today, dude.
listen.
So you got to bucket out for collect those tears.
If that happens, I'm driving to North Carolina, and me and Strick are doing a 24-hour podcast from his game room.
No, I absolutely do it. If that
That's
shit happens,
what we're
that shit will
doing.
be gold.
By
Twitter will
the
be
way,
gold,
Strick,
bro.
that's a fine game room you have. By
I mean,
the way,
if you think
I
about
know
it,
for you.
Twitter's
That's
going
why-
to be gold either
Hey.
way whenever they decide what they do with this deal.
Thank you,
Because
bro.
either the
Well,
PlayStation fanboys are going to be mad or
Kev-
the Xbox fanboys are going to be mad.
Kev,
I'm going
I'll
to be
say this
entertained
much.
either
Kev,
way.
I-
Yeah, somebody's gonna be mad, Kev. Somebody's gonna be mad either way.
Somebody's definitely gonna be mad, but I will say, Jay, you've got J-Dub here, you've got P-Rock, you've got myself. Everyone that's not a big fan of it still thinks it's gonna go through to some extent.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's gonna be
I-
more of a
I think there might-
catastrophe if it doesn't go through.
I think there's gonna be concessions made.
There's going to be
Oh,
mental
absolutely.
gymnastics on both sides.
It's gonna be a madhouse on freaking Twitter, man.
Twitter
Yeah,
is
it's gonna be-
literally
It's gonna be
going
like your
to be
mom's
gold.
pants.
Listen, I'm telling you, grab your beer, grab whatever you listen, man. Twitter is literally gonna be gold. I'm not gonna be partaking in any of it, but god damn it, I'm gonna be reading all the tweets. I'm gonna be
Lord.
fresh.
I'm going to be reading tweets, roasting people, talking shit.
I'm gonna
Hey,
Man,
post.
it's
Strick,
gonna
can
be
you
hilarious.
imagine,
I don't know.
imagine the
I think-
emergency
I
spaces
don't
that are
think-
gonna happen?
Oh
I
my
think,
god, bro.
I think Strict will say something at some point if that happens, but I don't know. That first day, yeah, I could see you just being sitting back eating.
I'm literally just gonna eat popcorn and enjoy the show. I'm gonna enjoy the show. Like it is going to be gold. I swear to you, it's gonna be gold. Like, and I'm gonna just be like, you know, and you know what? You know what? Whether I'm gonna go to the store in my Lambo, of course, right? And I'm gonna go in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get me some beer, whatever it is, and I'm gonna go back home.
And a Lambo at the same time, anyway.
Yo, I'm gonna use that P-Rock.
If I have a 4090, there's a reason I'm shopping at Walmart.
I'll give credit where credit's due if I have to. I'm going to use that again. I'm going to use the Lambo at Walmart line at least once or twice this month.
No, Mooch, you need that Denali at Walmart, man.
Denali at Walmart, yes.
There's nothing wrong with going to Walmart.
No, there's nothing wrong at all.
It's cheap.
I mean,
man.
yeah, if you go there with your camera.
Well, I bought your mom a vibrator from Walmart.
Oh, let's keep it. Hey, listen, that's the After Dark show there, Brap. Take it easy.
You just lost.
Were you not man enough to set it off? Is that the problem that we bought our vibrator?
So Magnum
Did you set it
Vision.
off?
Thank you, Kev.
We're getting them batteries.
Magnum Visuals comes
All
out.
of your ad revenue.
Jay, he literally answers you here. So he says, if the AB Key deal flops, it will make future large acquisitions impossible for Microsoft. It's like running your credit. It's a good thing. It's like ruining your credit. But here's my thing, though. Not only that, I think this is a double-edged sword. Guys, tell me what you think about this.
It's not just for Microsoft.
If it does go through, would you say, Dark?
I said I'm gonna dip out, man.
Oh, you gotta go. All right, Dark. Thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate it. I'm going.
Yeah,
a little
I'm sorry,
9.
Dark. I mean to get you upset, man. I'm sorry.
Dark's got a thing. He's got thick skin, dude. He's fine. He's fine.
You just your face alone gives me upset, dude.
Oh, man.
Hey, Mooch, when you clip this, you need to take that part out the movie. I bet you're wondering how we got here.
Wait, Strick, say that again. When I clip this, what?
When you clip this part of the show, be like the movie. I bet you're wondering how I got here. Let me tell you how it started.
Yo, I'm doing that too. Yes. So, but
Hey,
think
Mooch.
about. Go ahead, real quick. I got J-Dub asked the question though, but Jay, I'll kind of throw the question back at you real quick. Let's say the deal goes through, whether it goes through as is or with concessions. Let's just say it goes through. Who cares about the finite details? Can Microsoft even go buy anybody again after this? Are they done? I think they're done for a minute.
I don't think they can buy any big names anymore.
I think they're I think they're
Square.
I think they're done. I'll be honest. I think the industry is probably fatigued right now with all these freaking purchases from Sony and Microsoft.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I think gamers are fatigued. We want to see results from all of this shit. You know, we for the last year and a half, 2 years, all we've been talking about is acquisition. It's like these guys have 150 damn publishers and developers
and no games.
How many more fucking years? I mean, here we are, it's 2022, right? You didn't spend $100 billion, and yet you not out of all those developers, nobody got a game ready. That is a management issue. Somebody should be fired for that.
Yeah, not one. Jay makes a good point. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Mooch. This is I think I don't know if it was Jay or Strictly or maybe Kev that mentioned this. Like people are so hyper focused on Sony, and CMA and stuff. It is hunting season right now for big tech companies, and it's not just the CMA, it's the FTC. And you got to remember something: these countries, the UK, the US, the CMA, the FTC, they are they're in agreement with each other about big tech. There's a fear with big tech, like being able to use the resources, the access to the information they have in technology to leverage adjacencies to go into different industries and just buy companies because they can. And that's the concern. And in Europe, especially, where they don't have the equivalent of a Microsoft or Google. And, we could talk about whether or not companies should be punished for being successful. And that's a fair conversation to have. But the EU is trying to protect, their companies that provide cloud services or that are in the gaming space. You're trying to, kick the doors down and get a footholding in gaming or cloud or whatever the case is. And so a lot of, and that's what they're looking at here. And that's kind of it's interesting because if this deal doesn't go through, I don't think it's the end of Microsoft, acquiring companies, but it does set a precedent about big tech acquiring or being able to go into different industries. Because we see the CMA, they said no to Facebook or Meta with Giphy. They're like, that's not happening. If the FTC says no to this deal, then basically they're saying they're sending a message to big tech saying, hey, you know what? You guys may have, an abundance of money and resources, but that doesn't mean that you can go around and throw your weight and get yourselves into different, industries or or technology verticals, you don't have a footing, and just all of a sudden be competitive and block everyone else out who's trying to get in and compete in this space. So I think this deal goes through, but I would not be surprised if there's concessions. And I think this is why Sony's saying no to the 10 years. I saw people saying, oh, this is crazy. I can't believe Sony said no to 10 years. You know, they're in a bad position. If Sony says yes to 10 years, then what Sony is saying is, hey, we're okay with the deal.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to be interesting. It is hunting season for tech companies. Yeah. It is hunting season for tech companies right now.
The reason the 10-year thing is a no-go is because people are forgetting, right? We forgot that Microsoft has said that they want to change COD from being annually to every 2 to 3 years. So let's say they do that. Let's say the deal goes through, right? That 10 years is going to be like 2 games. They'll just sandbag. They don't care. They own this stuff. So do you think that could be the case? It's not like, you know, we'll be able to get 10 games out of that 10-year deal. Do you think that's the case?
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe Sony, and I think maybe you said this earlier, J-Dub, where it was like, you know, it's about money, you know, and you know, COD is an annual release, and you know, Sony's probably banking on the fact that, you know, they have the marketing deals, they generate a lot of revenue every year.
Yeah.
You know, and so if Microsoft's saying, hey, we're not going to do this a big, you know, annual COD release, and we know the numbers that Modern Warfare 2 did, and what that means for Sony. Yeah, it would make sense instead of like, wait a minute, like we want COD to be a you know, yearly release. We don't want it to be a, you know, 2 or 3 year, you know, release, you know, between each iteration of COD. We don't want that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But again, I just, you know, for those who are listening, and I would encourage a lot of people to, there's a lot of information out there on the internet right now in terms of the CMA and the FTC, and I forget the head of the FTC's name. I know her last name is Khan, but I forget her first name. It really is hunting season right now for big tech companies.
She
like
knows,
they are definitely.
Yeah, everyone, remember when this all started? They said she was going to be out for blood. She really is.
Oh yeah, she is. She has some grave concerns about the power of these big tech companies like Amazon and Microsoft and Google being able to come around, Apple being able to come in and throw their weight around. And you got to remember, I mean, and we're seeing this in business right now and in all aspects of life. There's a big shift to cloud. There's a big shift to technology, to information, which you think about Facebook and Google. I mean, like, people don't realize that, but that is, these companies start getting into different industries, different entertainment services. I mean, or industries. I mean, they can leverage their adjacencies to kind of quarter the market and be monopolies. And that's what they're looking at. And I don't think a lot of people focus enough on that. And with Microsoft, they have Azure, even though Microsoft said, which I thought was kind of funny too. A lot of people, it's funny, a lot of people hyper-focus on things that Sony say that are kind of contradictory to Sony, but they also don't call out Microsoft when Microsoft's like, oh, it's not, you know, Game Pass isn't running on, you know, cloud. Or we don't have anything Xbox related running on Azure. I'm like, no, actually, kind of is. Like, that's come on.
Yeah, you guys.
And that's Microsoft's business. I mean, that's their bread and butter. And this feeds Azure.
Yeah,
this deal would feed Azure too. So.
By the way, shout out to everybody. If anyone in the chat is looking at the people drop, everybody here is like that Back to the Future picture. After 9 o'clock, everybody starts to fade away slowly and disappear. I start losing panel members as soon as we hit 9 p.m. Eastern time. I got a couple of extra super chats here real quick. I want to read a shout out real quick to Muck45. He says, P-Rock, if this deal goes through, Bobby and his management team have to leave. Who at Xbox, who would manage ABK? I'll wait for anyone to answer. Well, Muck, to answer your question, that would be Phil Spencer. I believe it's even been said that it would be Phil that takes over. Smokes901 says, what's troubling to me... Go ahead.
No, I was just saying shout out to Muck. Good people.
Shit, okay. No, definitely shout out to Muck. He's here every week. Smokes901 says, what's troubling to me is how does a $1 trillion company get outbid for second and third party exclusives? Imagine if all the major games that came out this year were D&D and GP like Outriders last year. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, Smokes. They're putting this $70 billion, you know, $68.7 billion into Activision and these other companies. They don't want to go do the $1, $2, $5, $10 million deals for marketing rights or exclusivity like that. They don't want to do those anymore. Sir X-Man, what he said was, he goes, my comment was, why is it when I'm on the show, it's so calm? That I can't answer, Sir X-Man. That I can't answer. That's just luck of the draw. I apologize in advance. Shout out to Smokes 901. He's back. He goes, people, please hit the like and join. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Smokes. He says, if it turns your C's into D's, and if you're a dub, you gain 4 extra inches. Shout out to Smokes 901. I appreciate that, Smokes. Thanks for that. And the great WoolleyGamer, who's here, and it's legitimately 2 o'clock in the morning over in England, and he says it's about control of IP for Microsoft. Sony's doing it right. And I think that's what we were kind of alluding to with the great J-Dub and P-Rock. We're going back and forth. I did want to do some other topics here, but guys, I've kept this phenomenal panel here so long, and they've got new games to play. They've got backlog to catch up on and family, and I hope they're actually getting a couple of adult beverages in this weekend, too, as well. That being said,
did someone say adult beverages, Mooch?
I hope so, guys. I really do. We post them after the show. Please, yes, on Twitter. Everybody,
how about right now, Mooch?
Well, you can do that too if you want, Brad, but I can't make mine until the show's over. Nonetheless, guys, outstanding show. Please, everybody, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you would like to join the channel, join buttons there as well. You've heard some of the Mooch Maniac family members commenting and giving their opinions throughout the show. Let me go in reverse order here and see if I can actually do this in proper reverse order. Merc305, Merc, thanks for being here, buddy. Honestly, great commentary on your part. Loved your opinions this evening. And look, you know what I'm going to do, what I do best. That's bother you until you're back on the show again. So, Merc,
hey, absolutely, man.
Let people know where they can find you, buddy, and thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, man, much appreciated. Thank you for the invite. Shout out to the panel, man. It was awesome. And, yeah, man, you can find me at Merc305 on YouTube. And, yeah, man, good times. Looking forward to the next one.
Appreciate that, Merc. And then I got my buddy here, J-Dub City. J, I got to be honest with you, man.
Boy.
Great to have you here. Yes, man. It is just, and I'll tell you something. I don't know. And you don't have to say it out loud now, but please don't leave Twitter ever again. Please. It's just not nearly as entertaining. I'm sorry. It's just not. I like to think I'm entertaining, but no, I think you got me trumped tenfold, man. You are way better than I am. So I will say this much. Jay, thanks for being here tonight, man. Thanks for taking time out of your family and busy schedule as well. I know you've been doing the tour on podcast this week. Shout out to Jez, too, on Grind My Gears. You're on his show Monday night. But, Jay, let people know where they can find you, and you know I will also be asking you to join us very soon in the near future.
Well, see, here's the thing about it. I mean, you don't find J-Dub. J-Dub finds you. You know what I'm saying? So I'll find you guys.
Ain't that the truth? Great to have you here, Jay.
Definitely, man. Thanks. Always good chopping up with everybody, man.
All right, Jay. Thanks so much. And then I've got my boy here, Strictly Gaming. Yo, Strict, I got to be honest with you, Strict. I think you are 3 for 3. Making CrossFire legitimately live up to its name. Would you agree with me, Strick?
Man, look, I can't take that credit, bro. I can't take that credit. You know me, I'm a humble man. I cannot take that credit, man. You are successful with it without me. That's a fact.
Oh, man, stop it.
Hey, man, shout out to Mooch, man. CrossFire never misses for sure, man. Happy Friday, everyone. Y'all know the vibes, man. Holiday time.
Yes,
Hope
sir.
everyone's safe and healthy. Y'all know where to find me at, man. So,
Yo,
it's great to be here with great people, man.
Strict, I appreciate you, man. Love what you're doing for the community. You keep things gaming out there, and it's been a fresh breath of air since you joined us all. So thank you very much for being here this evening, man. Thanks for supporting the channel all these years, too. I appreciate that. And then last but certainly not least, my man here, Bimble BRAP, a Basement Radio Arcade podcast. BRAP, outstanding show tonight, buddy. Great points on your side, too. Let people know where they can find you, and, yeah, a great show tonight.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. It's like I said, man, it's been a long week, Mooch. Like I was looking forward to the show tonight, just to kind of, this is kind of like my happy hour, you know.
Yes.
Kind of sit back, relax, talk video games, exchange ideas, which is nice because
Great.
I feel like there's a lot of shows out there that don't have, an exchanging of ideas,
A difference of opinion. Difference of opinion is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's healthy to have civil discourse.
Correct.
Yeah, where there's some shows you go on there and they're talking about how Microsoft is solving world hunger with Game Pass and things like that, and apparently preventing violence and things. So
yeah.
So no, look, you can find me on Basement Radio Arcade Podcast on YouTube every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and great show, great guests as always, Mooch. Big shout out to all the guests, and it's great to see J-Dub back. By the way, Jay,
it is.
It's funny, man. Like when you left, I was like, I had to call you and be like, Jay, where are you, man? And then you told me, and I was like, okay, I get it. And even though I disagree with you with the PC thing, it's great to have you back, man.
Absolutely, it is. And shout out to WoolleyGamer who agrees with you, Brap. He says here, J-Dub, we are all glad back that you're back, brother. Appreciate that to WoolleyGamer as well. Thank you for that. Guys, I want to say, go ahead, Brap.
Jay, do you still have receipts, man? That's what I want to know. Do you still have those receipts?
I believe he does.
I think he does, yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
I think he does.
I believe Jay does. Jay doesn't. He's a businessman. He keeps all receipts.
Yeah, I keeps all my receipts, man.
That's right. Put mine away though, Jay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jay. Hey, delete mine as well, sir.
Yes, if you'd be so kind. Yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you give me the solid, Jay. Just delete the receipts, man.
I got you, brother. I got you.
Good looking
Thank
out.
you, man.
Jay
Thank
is now my new accountant. That's wonderful. Thank you.
And by the way, real quick, Jay's got this guy's a hardcore racing gaming fan because like he's got like you still have those setups, Jay? Those things are wow.
Yeah, man. You know that's my thing, man. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we were talking before the show, and Jay's like, "Well, I got to get to the new games after we get done with CrossFire," and I'm thinking, "Oh, absolutely." And I thought he was going to say Callisto Protocol. First thing he says is he's playing Need for Speed Unbound. He's going right to it, so he's not messing around. Shout out to Dre Watson. I like call him D Watt. Met Dre off of Strictly's channel as well. And hanging out with Strict. So shout out to D-Watt and all the great people here. See Wooly, Alphonso Carter, Saltiest Gaming. Jez was here. For some reason, I don't know why, this thing will not let me. There it goes. Now it's starting to scroll up. Shout out to Mary Wilcox. Just so many great people that were here tonight. Talos Ray, Smokes.
Andrede, your boy AR, Talos. So many dope people.
So many people came here tonight. Domino Zero. It just keeps going on and on. Guys, thanks for being here. X-Hawk even. X-Hawk who loves to give me crap, but he's still here every week, and I love it. X-Hawk, appreciate you being here as well. Guys, that being said, listen.
Even Bobor.
Bobor Quantary's here. That's how the show started, though, Brap. That's how the show starts. Shout out to Bobor. I do want to say this much. We will be on twitch.tv, Mooch TV, guys. Remember, drop the O's for zeros. It's M00CH TV tomorrow, around 1 p.m. I'll be tweeting it out. You'll know. And we're doing Callisto Protocol. I haven't started it, so all the jump scares and the ridiculousness are going to happen live on camera. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow. Come over and check me out over there. Go follow me on Twitch. And please, on the way out, hit the like button and subscribe button. Great panel, great chat. We'll see you next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, guys. Enjoy your weekend and good night.
Go Yankees.
Let's go Mets.
Go Redskins. Go Commanders.
Champs, baby.
Let's go
Champs,
Mets.
baby.
Mets.